Welcome back to the BDL, aka the Bulbasaur Draft League. Still your host, Macanu. And for this video, we're going to be going straight into the complete draft that the coaches have done over the past week and a half. And we're going to be analyzing each pick. We're going to talk about how good they are, how they fit into their team. At the end, we're going to do an overall look of each team, and I'll reveal their terror types. And before I really get into it, I just want to say do not watch this whole video in one sitting. It's going to be so long. You're going to lose blood flow to your legs or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Now, before we actually get to see the picks, we're going to have to talk about the draft order. And it's worth noting that in this league, there is no Dragapult or Iron Valiant. They're both banned. So the first two picks aren't going to be Dragapult and Iron Valiant. And our first pick is going to be made by Phantasma. First pick, always a good position to be in, and you're a wheel, so you're making your picks back to back after your first pick happens. Next, we have Norayamis, who is making the second pick. Overall, really good position to be in, kind of like a pseudo wheel, right? Then we have Con Baby, another really good position to be in. The first few spots are going to be really good because you get that first dibs on some really strong mons. We have Forgery in 4th. We have Gek in 5th. We have FF Ella in 6th. And I feel like this is where it starts to get, your position starts to be a little more sucky, but not as bad as being towards the middle. We have Wish. We have Mackerel picking next. We have Philosopher. We have Leppy. And we have Estrella. Now this rotation between FFLA, Wish, Mackerel, Philosopher, Leppy, and Estrella, this is a pretty unfortunate position to be in. Like, you are kind of trying to, pick something up, but you can't really have concrete plans because you're always in the middle of every phase. Next up, we have Ty. Not the best position, but still decent. Surely You Jest, Soul Blaze, Ultra Burst, and Poison Point is the second wheel. Soul Blaze, Ultra Burst, Poison Point still have some really good spots. Surely You Just is decent too. Ty sort of falls in with the Philosopher, Leppy, Estrella group. So let's get straight into the first round. The first round of the Draft League. The first Mon drafted. Can you guess what it is? It's Urshifu Single Strike. Yeah. So that Mon was unbanned for this Draft League, and I guess it should have been banned because it was instantly picked by Phantasma. Really strong Pokemon, dark fighting type, is whatever typing, it's good offensively. Just the Wicked Blow so strong. Unseen Fist is really going to blow through protects, just breaks a fundamental part of the game. You can't protect on it, and always has that crit. Just really strong wall breaker, really strong Mon. Overall, I think this might be one of the greater first picks of the draft. Next up, we have Norayamis with Deoxys Speed. This Pokemon is insanely good, right? Super quick. Is there anything like that much quicker? Like, I think Regieleki might be in that's quicker, but like, you get your hazards on him on. You have Psycho Boost doing crazy damage. You have so much support out of Deoxys Speed. It's just such a good pick. And you could really just put it onto anything, so it's an awesome first pick. Next up, we have Con Baby drafting Great Tusk himself, the possibly greatest spinner to exist. At least that's legal. Great Tusk, amazing Paradox Mon, Gen 9, so obviously power creeps everything out their mind. Fighting Ground Stab, really good, bulky enough. Let's go on to the next. We have Forgery picking Torn T. Torn T can't even Terra in this, but Forgery realized that this Mon just gets everything you want out of a pivot and more. You could play this offensively. You could play Nasty Claw, Bleak Wind, Storm, right? Or you could just play knockoff, U-turn, throw in some flamethrowers, whatever you want. Because this guy can just, U-turn out, get the regenerator, and it's a bulky Mon. You could AV it if you want. It doesn't matter. Torn T, versatile support. You're going to bring it every game. Amazing pivot. Gek over here. Now, you guys might be asking, why do you pick Gliscor first? Well, Gek is very much familiar with Gen 4. Like, anything past Gen 5, I don't think he knows all that well. And that's because he's he's a Gen 4 player. Like, that was his first game. That's what he enjoyed. He played a lot of that, and he played a lot of Pokemon Mo. And Pokemon Mo doesn't go past Gen 5, at least to the best of my knowledge. So he chose Gliscor. That's a bond he likes. W for him. He's choosing a favorite. But Gliscor's still good. Don't put it down. This mon can Terra if he wants it to. It's got ground flying typing. Pretty good, It's his, defensive mon. Has a little bit of support with knockoff. And you could still run your SD facade sets. Like, Poison Heal's insane to get through, too. Like, the only thing that could really deal with it is that Urshifu, right? Because you could hit through the Protect. So, really good first pick still. Next up, we have FFLO with the Meowscarada, which is a really good offensive threat, right? You have Protein. Is its ability Protein? There's all that Protein, Libero. I think it's Protein. You get the Flower Trick, which is always a good move to have. Knockoff support. It could run special. It could run physical. Depends on the week. You have supports with spikes. Like, it's just good mon to have, U-turn 2, good pivot, fast mon, strong. Can avoid, all the Intimidate drops, all the burn drops because of the crit on Flower Trick. Next up, we have Wish picking up the other Urshifu. So both Urshifus are gone within the first 7 picks. Urshifu Rapid Strike. Now, my issue with Urshifu Rapid Strike in draft is that if you know it's coming, right, you could just build them on defensively for it. You could just put a Rocky Helmet on anything that resists Surging Strikes, or just something that does well into, the stab combination of water fighting. But it's still a really strong mon. It does force people to think a certain way when building against it. And it has Unseen Fist. So let's move on to the next. We have Mackerel picking Sneasler. Sneasler sort of controls your draft a bit, right? You kind of want to see if you could get something with terrain so you could get that Seed Unburden combo that's so powerful. But it is the mon with Dire Claw. And we all know how ridiculous Dire Claw is. Mackerel will just be playing a game of clicking Dire Claw and seeing his opponent suffer. Now we have Philosopher with Goldengo. Can you guess what team Philosopher might be going for? Goldengo is just such a good pick because it allows you to so easily play Hazard Stack. This mon will block any Rapid Spin, will block Defog, will block Mortal Spin, which is the other Rapid Spin that they brought in with Glamora. Like, the only way that you could clear hazards against Goldengo would be if you draft Tidy Up or Mold Breaker Defog, which is exclusive to Hawlucha, I think. I don't think any other mons in the Scarlet Violet decks get that ability. Overall, though, it's a great bulky mon. It can run semi-supportive with T-Wave. It can run setup with Nasty Plot, or it could just break with Make It Rain on choice specs. Like, it's insane mon. It's a really good first pick. He could take it in any direction, but probably will take it in Hazard Stack direction. Now we have Leppy drafting Terapagos. Now, you guys might be like, why'd you let Terapagos through? This form of Terapagos is nowhere near as oppressive as the terastallized version. That one is unplayable into, well, not unplayable into, if it's a Uber's set, because you have the other Ubers, but this is just the normal version where when you hit it, that first move is going to be resisted. That's it. That's all this is. It's a good mon. It has a very versatile move pool. You could play setup. You could play, just regular breaker. But I'm kind of excited to see where Leppy takes it. Next up, you have Estrella drafting Palafin. Palafin is the hero, is the mon doing so much damage. It was so dominant at the start of Scarlet and Violet, and it's still dominant. Remember, this mon was really quick to make it to Ubers, and it's just got that awesome water wave crash combo with the Jet Punch. I don't think it has as versatile of a move pool, but it's a heavy hitter, and Estrella has some, some stuff cooking up that's going to make the Palafin better. Then we have Ty. He chose his favorite as well. Gek was the first to choose a favorite. Ty's another to choose a favorite. You see the team icon? Gallade. You see the team mascot? Chosen? Gallade. It's just Gallade everywhere. Literally, there are 3 Gallades on my screen right now. It's still a good Mon, though. It's still a good Mon. It has the sharpness, Sacred Sword. It has the sharpness, Psycho Cut, Leaf Blade, Night Slash. So many moves boosted by sharpness. It can SD. It can agility up, although not as frequently, but who knows with what he drafts, it might be possible. This is a really good Mon. It's early to get it, but he can definitely get some supportive Mons to, make it a little bit better. Now we have Shirley Ujest drafting a pivot, sort of similar to how Forgery got Torn T. That was really good. Slow King G is also really good. Gives you chilly reception. It could control weather in all the weather wars that you might see happening, depending on what teams are drafted. It could allow him to even play some mons that, use Slush Rush, all that stuff. I just really like it as a pivot. It's so slow of a pivot that you sort of get to decide what to bring in against anything, and you could just click. It's a free switch, almost free switch, right? It's not as good as teleport, obviously, but it's the next best thing that you have. Really good typing for something like Kirim, which makes a really good duo with Soul King G. Yeah, just another good pivot, supportive. It could kind of hit too. Now we have Soul Blaze drafting Landorus Incarnate, which does have access to Sheer Force. This Mon is a threat. When it has Life Orb Sheer Force, this is better Nidoking in every way. You know how Nidoking was a threat with Life Orb Sheer Force and Nidoqueen. This thing is just better, It's a legendary. It's just gonna click Earth Power, Sludge Wave, all that stuff, I think this is a really strong pick, really powerful. You could run it physical, but I feel like the moves are better on the special side. But once again, it's a draft. You could build it any way you want to counter the opponent. Let's see the next pick. We have Chi-Yu. I'm kind of surprised to see Chi-Yu so early. I feel like it does need some support, but it really does have those good choice specs, choice scarf sets, where it will be throwing out some overeats. It will be picking up KOs. That ability it has just makes it so hard to check. And I feel like Ultra Burst is definitely going to be able to build a team that takes advantage of the threat of Chi-Yu, both on and off the field. And for the final pick, we have Torkoal. You know what this means, right? Poison Point is taking advantage of their position as the wheel to pick Sun. We're bringing Sun to this draft league, and the wheel knows his place. So, with Torkoal, obviously opens up Sun. The other option to get Sun would have been Ninetales, but I do agree that Torkoal would be better if you can do it. You could still play, an angle with Trick Room where you do like Trick Room Eruption on Torkoal. You could still run Lava Plume. You have Yawn support. You have Rapid Spin. It's bulky, unlike Ninetales, which isn't as bulky. But overall, good pick. As the wheel, he will pick another Sun team Mon. And I think it's going to be really nice, But just a little unfortunate because there are 16 coaches and they might take your Mons. At the end of the round, we have all these wonderful picks made. I think my favorite pick here, unironically, I really like the Torn T, and I really like the Urshifu. The Torkoal's pretty good too, and I think the Landorus Incarnate, like all those mons, super powerful. Honestly, everything here is super powerful. I just think those ones in specific really allow you to have versatility in how you're going to draft your team and give you multiple options, or they're just overall so strong that they really affect how you can play the game. Let's move on to round 2. And remember, Poison Point picked the last, so this next round starts with his pick as well, and it's Walking Wake. So obviously, we got the Torkoal. We're going to lean into it. We're going to pick up the pretty much only photosynthesis water type that you can have, or the only water type you could bring into the sun, which is Walking Wake. Walking Wake Hydro Steam, super powerful in the sun, gonna be super powerful in the rain. This mon is just overall amazing. I do think it's slightly early. I would have liked to see a Gouging Fire here, possibly, because that is a, more coveted mon, but I can see where he's coming from because he doesn't get to pick again until round 3, right? So, Gouging Fire might disappear, or Walking Wake might disappear by then, and then he has no Water Stab in the Sun. So, still a good pick. Still super nice with the Torkoal combo. Walking Wake is a threat. Do not even underestimate it. And now Ultra Burst picks Galvantula. That is the first Websmon drafted. And that's super nice support because Chiyu, while Chiyu is fast, there are still tons of faster threats, and it allows Ultra Burst to control the speed a bit more so that Chiyu could opt for choice specs in some sets. Sometimes, lower the EVs on the speed that it might not need. Galvantula's overall just super nice. It's a really quick attacker. Gives him electric stab. He has the pivot and volt switch. I really like the Galvantula. Like, I think Sticky Webs makes team building so much more easy in draft leagues, and it's also just a threat to all the people who face you. They have to worry about Sticky Webs, and Chiyu. Come on now. Now we have Soul Blaze drafting the other Slowking. Once again, the other Slowking was good, the Galarian version. This one's also good. They both get Chilly Reception. They're both good pivots. They both have Regenerator. This one's just the water type. That's really all. Now Jest has decided, instead of opting for the usual duo of Slowking Galar, which is Kyurem, he's decided to go for Garchomp. Still really good partner for Galarian Slowking. They really do support each other well. And Garchomp is just such a versatile mon, right? Ever since it's been created, it's just been running whatever set it wants, and it just works. Like, you could bring this physical, you could bring it special, you could bring it bulky, you got rocks, you got all the stuff that you want on this one mon. It's super good to pick. And then Ty has King Gambit. Now, a little thing about Ty, if you remember, I mentioned that he's a VGC player. He will just, he'll pick his VGC mons. He'll pick the mons that he sees in VGC, and he will make them work. King Gambit is a really good threat. You have the Defiant set sometimes to catch people off between weeks, and you have the Supreme Overlord set, which obviously, you're not going to send out until the end, but it's still super powerful. Kowtow Cleave, Sucker Punch, Iron Head. You have the Swords Dance sets. And it also makes, it's starting a good core with my boy Gallade, right? Psychic, Fighting, and Dark Core. He's kind of got that already. And it's a good Steel type, because as you're going to see, Steel types are going to go away pretty early on. And look at that. You mentioned a Steel type going away, and look, another Steel type's going away. So, Estrella picks the Steel Dragon Archaludon, which is the mon that sort of breaks a precedent set, which is that precedent for pseudo-legendaries. This one doesn't even have a 2-stage evolution, but it's a pseudo-legendary somehow. This mon has so much going for it with the amazing typing of Steel and Dragon, and the move pool that it has access to, and it has stamina. So I think from here, it's pretty clear what Estrella's going to draft, right? You have Palafin, you have Archaludon with the Electroshot. And as you guys know, Electroshot does take 2 turns to charge and attack unless you're in the rain. So as you could tell, Estrella's probably drafting rain here. But still a super nice mon, really hard to break through defensively. You're going to need a special defensive, specially attacking breaker to get through this mon because it has lower SPDF. But it's just so nice to see Archaludon. Then we have Leppy, who is now drafted Ursaluna. Now, Ursaluna is a super powerful mon, but it's super slow. You have multiple sets you could run. You have the bulletproof sets, which are a little bit more rare, but they could catch out an opponent, right? Because you want to hit it with Focus Blast, maybe. You want to hit it with Aura Sphere. You can't. It's bulletproof. Or you could run the main set, which is Guts, with Facade. That's just so strong, so hard to break through. Really important to get your breakers early on because there will be less good breakers later on into the round. We have repeated a type already, though. There are 2 normal types, although Terapagos kind of escapes that. So we do see a special attacker and a physical attacker on Leppy's side, and they're both slow, so maybe that means something. Philosopher, using their advantage with Goldengo, has decided to draft Samura Hisui. Samura Hisui is such a nice setup bond, right? Because you have Ceaseless Edge to always, get your spikes down when it connects. When I click Ceaseless Edge, it never hits, but whenever my opponents click, it's always 100% accuracy. So yeah, Ceaseless Edge just guarantees your spikes get up. You don't have to worry about those matchups where you have Magic Bounce and people can't even use Mirror Code on it. Also has the decent, other moves in Knock Off, Sucker Punch. You can still use Sharpness to a pretty good advantage. Like, it's just such a good mon, and it's a pretty decent pivot with Flip Turn. Mackerel has taken advantage of the fact that Darkrai somehow went undrafted in round 1 and all the way back up to them in round 2. Darkrai, super fast mon, super good special attacker. He has a physical attacker. He has a fighting type, and now he has a dark type. So fighting, dark, maybe he's looking for a psychic next to make that core. Either way, Darkrai, super impressive, super strong. Has the Dark Pulse sets, Nasty Plot, Sludge Bomb, Thunderbolt. Pretty versatile move pool, actually. Either way, Darkrai's a threat, and he has the Sneasler. Let's see what he drafts next. We have Wish drafting Ogre Pawn Hearthflame, the first of the Ogre Pawns to go away. So now we have 2 mons that sort of defy some game mechanics on Wish's team, right? And we have a Watergrass Fire Core. Don't forget that. That's a really good core to have. But yeah, like with Urshifu, you're not allowing your opponents to protect, and with Ogre Pawn, you're not allowing your opponents to use their abilities. So it does kind of, synergize well with their Urshifu Rabbids, right? Because remember how I said that, like, someone might bring Rocky Helmet, someone might bring, what's Rocky Helmet as an ability? It was Rough Skin. If someone was to bring Rough Skin, Ogre Pawn ignores Rough Skin. Like, Ogre Pawn's just really good to hit stuff. Like, let's say if there's a Heatran, you could still click your Ivy Cudgel Fire type move. Just super good mon. Really nice to have, honestly. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's a really nice mon to have. Just, my only issue is that this brings up Wish's team to start off with 2 physical attackers from the get-go. Although they are physical attackers that kind of defy the rules of the game, but they also have their Watergrass Fire Core, so, who am I to judge? Then we have FFLO with Iron Treads. Great Tusk going away, so now Iron Treads needs to go, right? The Paradox forms of Donphan are powerful. They're really good. Fellow recognized that. So Fellow got, with this, they got a really nice Steel type, which, goes back to what I was saying about the Steel types needing to go soon. Steel's a really good defensive type, and it's a ground type, right? So Electric won't just run over FFLA. You get nice Rapid Spinner, you get some nice support with Stealth Rock, just EQ, Volt Switch, you have Supercell Slam, you have Heavy Slam sets, you have Iron Head. I really like it. It's a good defensive mon. I've had it in the Draft League before. It's a good pivot. I think Iron Treads is so undervalued. Because it's just because of Tusk, man. Because of Tusk, it just seems like Iron Treads is worse because they're just always going to be compared. But Iron Treads is so good. Do not sleep on it. Then we have Gek bringing Heatran, another Steel type being drafted. What a shocker. But Heatran is such a unique mon. So good defensively, right? You have the Fire Steel type, which only Heatran has for the time being. It's just really good defensive mon. You could trap steals with Magma Storm, not with an ability. Sorry, if I made it seem like it was going to be with an ability, but you have Magma Storm. You have strong flash cannons. You could switch it in on Toxics. It makes a pretty good duo for Gliscor. The only issue is how is his team going to take a water type move, right? But you'll see. Forgery decides to pick up the Giraffe Raging Bolt. So that's 2 of the 3 legendary beasts Paradox forms taken up. Honestly, it's just a really good bulky mon, really good electric type attacker. Um, really good typing in electric and dragon. It has thunderclap, which is its unique move. That's basically sucker punch, but on electric type. Um, just really good bulky mon. Can pretty much bring it to every game, right? Nothing's going to be able to one-shot this, and it's actually a threat. It could throw around those discharge for paras. It could throw around Draco Meteors. You definitely won't be getting it out in one shot. So I think he has a really good core here, and he could pivot between these two. We'll see. Cone Baby picking up another Ogerpon form. Ogerpon Wellspring gives him some water resist, which is good into that Urshifu Rapid Strike we were looking at earlier, and picks up some resist that Great Tusk might not deal with as well, right? So Great Tusk is going to be weak to grass and water, and Ogerpon will resist the water completely, but not the grass. It'll be neutral into grass, but it can switch into everything. Great Tusk doesn't want to eat, although I doubt it's a good idea to do that. Still a really good mon. Ivy Cudgel's such a good move. You have the grass water offensive type. It's really fast, but once again, with the person who drafted Ogerpon Hearthflame, you have the issue of drafting two physical attackers back to back. So I want to see how they're gonna, move around that. What special attacker they're gonna pick to fill up this hole. No Area Mies is leaning into some hazard stack here, right? We have spikes on Deoxys and we have spikes on Ting-Lu. They really want to get their spikes up and they really want their support. Ting-Lu is just such a good defensive mon with its ability. It could take so many hits, has a really good typing compared to the other Ruin Mons. They're the Ruin Mons, right? The 4 dark types. It's just really good typing, ground dark, really good defensive mon. Ruination's just such a good move to bring every game. Earthquake. I don't think it gets knockoff, but still a really good mon, really good defensiveness. Gives you pretty good resist, right? Electric and psychic is always going to be resisted, and just a really good duo for that. Deoxys too gets you the dark and psychic part of the dark fighting psychic core. And then it all comes back to Phantasma, who is the other side of the wheel. And I forgot to change the name of this from Urshifu S to Pecharunt, but that is a Pecharunt. Pecharunt Ghost Poison, a little mochi machine that created the Loyal 3. The typing is okay, right? It's like Gengar typing. Still pretty weak to ground and psychic and ghost and dark, but it is a physical defensive beast. It has the parting shot. It has the malignant chain to hit all the mons, right? Except for steel types and poison types, and 50% chance to poison you, right? That's insane. But on top of that, you'll get confused. So not only does he have a spammable move in Malignant Chain that could poison you, badly poison too, by the way, it can confuse you. And then it could throw a parting shot on you. It could throw a shadow ball on you. It could nasty plot on you. It could recover on you. It's actually pretty good. It's very defensive too. So really good for Phantasma to pick that up. Here are all the round 2 picks. I'm going to say my favorite pick is going to be... Honestly, I think it's the Archaludon and the Walking Wake and the Galvantula. Those 3 are really good. They really fit their teams. I really like Sticky Webs from Galvantula. Archaludon is just such a good defensive mon, and it fits onto the rain that Estrella plans to pick up. Let's get into round 3. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I've noticed that we are really going slowly through all of these. Either way, we have the next pick, which is another steel type. Shocker. Everyone's getting their steel types. Scizor. Scizor is the best bulky bug that you could get, but you're not drafting it for bug. Although it does give it a pretty... Although with the bug and steel type, actually, you do get a pretty good defensive repertoire. A lot of resistances. Only that 4 times weakness to fire, but Phantasma will definitely draft around that. Just a good mon. You could bring the SD sets. You could bring knockoff, U-turn, bullet punch. Just a good pivot. Can be offensive some weeks. You have no idea what to expect when a Scizor is thrown out against you. I think Phantasma chose well. Goes really well with the Pecharunt, actually, when you think about it, right? Everything that Pecharunt can't take all that well, Scizor could take pretty well. The only issue, really, is a fire type against this team. So let's see what Phantasma drafts down the road to match that up. No Area Mies said, I don't care that I already have a dark type. I'm going to draft another dark type. And that's what we got here, Roaring Moon. We have Roaring Moon, which is an insanely strong mon. You have the DD sets with, honestly, you just always have the DD set pretty much. You have your knockoff, you have acrobatics if you bring in the booster energy. You have Dragon Claw, but really it's just a really strong knockoff that's going to be really good with this team because of all the hazards he has. And so, some weeks, he might opt for a choice band or a choice scarf set. He might, run Iron Head. Either way, though, this mon is super powerful. Do not sleep on it. It's like a better Salamence because for some reason, this gets acrobatics. We have Con Baby drafting Hatterene. Honestly, I wasn't sure why they drafted Hatterene. It is a good fairy type, right? I think that's the first bulky fairy that we've seen picked. It's really good defensively. It's decent offensively. You have the Nuzzle sets. You have Trick Room availability. You have Magic Bounce. So it's just overall a good mon. Generic good mon. So I think that's why Con Baby drafted it. Forgery is, matching up with the others, picking a steel type. Not as defensive of a steel type if you have Excadrill, but it's still a pretty good threat. You have the Mold Breaker EQ for all the people who are going to bring Levitate Mons to fill some holes. You have your Rapid Spin removal. You have, pretty strong Iron Heads for all the bulky fairies. You have your SD sets. And who knows, maybe down the road, he picks up some sand. That'd be pretty nice on this team. Gek picked Kyurem. Now, I think Kyurem is actually a really good pick here for Gek because he drafted Gliscor and Heatran, right? What are those two? Pretty defensive mons. And he's starting up his core for Steel and Steel Fairy Dragon, right? And this mon's going to take all the water type attacks that Gliscor can't and Heatran can't, right? And Kyurem actually, believe it or not, has the same special attack and physical attack. Each week, you can decide what to bring with Kyurem against your opponents. Do you need him special? Do you need him physical? Who knows? Either way, really good pick. Proud of the Gek. Next up, we have FF Ella with the Tottenham Esper picking Gouging Fire. This might have been a snipe from the Sun team, but who knows, right? Right here, you have a Dragon and Fire type in one, which is a really good defensive type and pairs well with the Iron Treads and Meowscarada, right? You're filling up your Dragon part of your Dragon Fairy Steel core, and you're filling up the Fire part of your Grass, Fire, Water cores. Gouging Fire is just such a bulky mon. It can set up. It could bring the booster energy. It doesn't even need to set up all the time, though. You could just drop some Flare Blitzes, but I'm telling you, that setup set where you just run DD, Morning Sun, Heat Crash, oh my Lanta, it's insane, and it's awesome. Gouging Fire is such a threat. Too bulky. You can't kill this in one. You can't, unless you get like a +6 on like someone that's still pretty offensive and just Earthquake it. It's not possible. Next up, you have Wish getting Skarmory. Skarmory is a good mon, Another Steel type drafted. Flying type is also pretty good, right? Skarmory is just a really good defensive mon. You have the Spike support. You have Whirlwind. If you want to do some lulls or some memes, you have the weak armor sets that you should never bring. You have Body Press, Iron Defense, I think. So just overall a decent mon. It's mostly for the support and pivot. We'll see how Wish uses it. I kind of want to see some offensive sets. Mackerel has chosen the other Landorus, Lando T, the threat himself, the terror of Gen 8 and 7. Bringing out that intimidates, bringing out them earthquakes, really good U-turn pivot, has some, support in hazards. Can be bulky, can be brought as a physical attacker. It's just such a good mon, so versatile. You're gonna bring it every day. You're gonna bring it every week. Philosopher has opted for Blaziken, which I'll be honest with you guys, I wasn't too sure about, but I mean, you have the speed boost, right? You have the fighting, dark, and psychic core being created with Samurott, and you have the water, grass, and fire core also being created with Samurott. All the chip that's going to be got from the hazards from Goldango, from Goldango blocking and Samurott creating are going to help Blaziken reach those breakpoints to make some kills happen. So I think that's also pretty good. You have your setup sets with just SD or just setup with Protect, but don't bring that against your Shifu. And those flare blitzes and close combats will be powerful coming off of Life Orb, most likely. Leppy has confirmed that they are going for a Trick Room team with Cresselia. Cresselia is just such a good defensive mon. You have the Levitate to resist ground. Even though it's a Psychic type and Psychic isn't the best defensive type, it's just the mon itself is so good. Like, has such a versatile move pool. You could run setup, bulky setup, but I wouldn't prioritize that, right? You'd rather just get the Trick Room up for these first two picks that are super strong. It does give them some special attack, though, that I did. Oh, no, I didn't say that they need special attack. Whatever. Trick Room, really good for their team. Has the, Lunar Blessing, which it's going to KO itself, but it's going to bring another mon back from the dead to make some moves happen. I think it's a really good pick, especially with how they're drafting. I kind of like it. I actually really like it. I think it might be the pick of this round. You have Estrella really leaning into Rain, but still not drafting that Rain mon. You have Zapdos, which is a staple on Rain teams. There isn't really much for me to say other than like this is the mon that you bring on a Rain team, right? It's got the Volt switch. It's Hurricane that it could spam. It could spam Discharge. It's Roost. It's defensive as static. It's just so good and so fitting for the Rain. I just want to see when, the Rain mon is drafted. Ty is picking Garganical here, the nightmare of my dreams. Yeah. Garganical is a very strong mon despite its rock typing, right? Soul Cure is just going to be really good for those people that try to stall out Ty. He can set up his hazards. He's just really bulky. You can't break through it, and it can't be statused. People are going to have to build around this Garganical. Like, they're going to be like, okay, how do I beat Garganical this week? And this mon will just, recover up on you too while you're getting soul cured. So be prepared. Then we have Shirley just picking a Namorous Incarnate. So now we have Fairy and Dragon and a really good special attacker. I like a Namorous a lot. I mean, there isn't much to say, just drop those Moonblasts, really good offensive threat. You could run choice sets. You could run setup, but don't forget to take off Contrary if you run setup. I do not want to see your special defense and special attack drop when you click Calm Mind. Soulblaze has picked a super high value mon in Cyclozar, right? Cyclozar, if you think about it, it's like the Gen 9 basic form of Torn T. It's a normal dragon, which might not seem like a good typing, but not a lot can hit it effectively all the time, right? And it has Regenerator. Shedtail is banned, so he won't be using Shedtail, but it's just such a strong pivot with the U-turn, such a good support with knockoff, rapid spin, can still drop a Draco, can set up with shift gear. It just has a lot going for it. It's a really nice mon. It is kind of early to see it, but I mean, you could Terra it. It's a pretty good pivot. It's basically next best thing to Torn T, in my opinion. Either way, congrats to Soulblaze for, seeing this out of the list, going so far down the list to find it and picking it. Ultra Burst has decided to draft Latios. Latios is zooming across the sky, dropping a Draco, hitting that Psychic on everyone, bro. It's hitting, attacking. That's why I said hitting earlier. It's just so hard to resist it. And now that it has Luster Purge, what are you going to bring out against it? You're going to bring out a Dark type, right? He has Galvantula. And you might be saying, like, the same way that, Chi-Yu has some minor speed issues, Latios has those too, right? Because of power creep. Galvantula solves that with Sticky Web. The only thing that's really going to stop this team so far is looking to be Levitate or Flyers. Or Flying type, sorry, not Flyers. But, I mean, the Galvantula is right there, so I think this is a really good pick. We are seeing a lot of special attackers on this team, though. We need some physical attackers, so please draft a physical attacker next. I still really like the Latios, though. Poison Point has opted for Corviknight. Once again, I messed up by not changing that to Corviknight. That's not a Torkoal, guys. That's Steel and Flying Bird. The Steel Flying Bird. Just a really good mon. It has U-turn support, defog, roost. It's bulky. It's a really good pivot. Overall, it's pretty decent for Sun teams. I would have preferred to see this with Gouging Fire, and I will die on this hill. This is such a good mon to Gouging Fire. It's just unfortunate that Poison Point can't get it, but who knows? What if they trade? And with that, that's the end of round 3. Looking at all these round 3 picks, I think one of my favorites is the Roaring Moon. Even though no Area Muse has a Dark type already, the Roaring Moon is just so strong, so powerful, and the knockoff is just so good for his team. Other favorite is definitely going to be the Cresselia out of Leppy. The Trick Room support is just so good. The Trick, that mon with Trick Room, that might be that is the best Trick Room mon. That is the best Trick Room mon. And you have the Lunar Blessing. Like, you're gonna be like, oh my god, yes, I finally got his Ursaluna to 10%. And then he's gonna bring out Cresselia, set up the Trick Room, maybe hit a move or something. I don't know, Ice Beam. And then he's gonna Lunar Blessing. And then that Ursaluna's gonna come back out 100% HP. How are you gonna kill it again? You can't. It's gonna take bodies. Poison Point chose Rotom Heat. Honestly, I rate it, right? You get Volt Switch support. You get a Fire and Electric type, okay? Fire and Electric type. The Electric typing is still pretty good offensively, right? You have your Thunderbolt. You have your Volt Switch. You have Will-O-Wisp support from Rotom Heat. I don't think it gets Defog, but you're forgetting that we're in the sun. That Overheat will hurt. I think Rotom Heat might even come with Nasty Plot Set some week. I don't know, but you are gonna underestimate it because you look at this, you're like, what's that microwave gonna do? It's gonna cook you. That's what it's gonna do. Ultra Burst has picked the bulky grass type that everyone should have been fighting for. Rillaboom. It's just so good because it has Grassy Surge, it has priority, it has knockoff support, it has U-turn, it's bulky, it's gonna heal up his team. Gives him some grass for that fire type on his team. I think this is just a really good mon to pick. It gives so much to the team. It's like, such a good Earthquake resist too, right? Because we were talking about how that Excadrill is around, and that has the Mold Breaker Earthquake, and that's going to clear through the first 3 mons on his team. But now that he has Rillaboom, he has to think twice about even bringing Earthquake, because Grassy Surge reduces the damage of Earthquake in half. I think Rillaboom's a really nice pick. I think it might be the best grass bulky type that you could, pick in this draft league. Soul Blaze is picking Hoopa Unbound. Hoopa Unbound is just such a crazy mon to me. Why does it have so much attack? Why does it have so much special attack? Hyperspace Fury hits through Protect, doesn't it? Like, what is this mon? Why did they create this? And it doesn't even need to hold the prison bottle. Like, you could just bring this with AV and just click moves. The only thing that's going poorly for it is the Psychic Dark typing. Someone will U-turn on this, and they will kill it. Unless this mon could Terra, and I have made it so you could Terra Hoopa Unbound We'll see if Soul Blaze does that, because they might have to skip out on the Cyclozar if they do that. Either way, insane wall breaker. It has some of the highest attack and special attack in the game. You cannot do too much against Hoopa. It will Hyperspace Fury. It will, I think it gets close combat. It's gonna click, psychic moves too. Like it's just such a good mon. It's such a good breaker. It's really fitting for the team. This team is looking super threatening with the way that Cyclozar and Slowking can bring in these mons. Next up, we have Empoleon, which completes the Dragon Fairy Steel core for Surely You Jest. It's also a really good defensive mon. You have Defog. People have to think twice about bringing Intimidate against you because you don't want to give that Empoleon the competitive boost. Other than that, just really like it. It's a decent special attacker. You could set up a bit, weakness policy, maybe some agility in there. Maybe you got the competitive going, but I think overall it's going to be like a semi-offensive, semi-defensive mon, You want to use that steel defensively, right? Now, this is because Ty was absent for his 4th round pick, so unfortunately he had to be skipped. He will make his pick up later at the end of the draft if he wishes to. Either way, just like Gon's dad, it's gone. Estrella has finally drafted Pelipper. That's their drizzle. That's their rain. That's the rain activator. It's such a good pick here because it enables all 3 of these mons to do insanely disgusting things that should not be allowed in Pokemon, but everyone in this league decided to let this through. I'm honestly terrified for people that face this, right? Because Pelipper's not even that bad offensively, right? You have the Hydro Pump, the Hurricane, and the U-turn support is good. The Roost is good. You do want to keep this alive, obviously, but my only issue is that that's a second flying type. Like, that might not be the best decision, but I definitely think it's better than bringing in Politoed. All he needs to do is solve the issue of picking 2 flying types and having so much water on his team. And I think he already kind of has that with our Chaladon, but we'll see. I think, this pick is just overall good. You're picking it pretty much for the rain. That's really all there is to it, right? Mew. Lepia's chosen Mew. I'm not a fan of picking a second Psychic type, but, this is another way to get Trick Room. Mew is just such a versatile mon, right? You have every TM in the game available on it and Transform. You could run any set you want. This is a pick that you make when your brain has a lot of room to grow. When you have like 300 IQ, you pick Mew because every week you could just figure out what set you want to bring, right? You want to bring special attacker, bring a special attacker. You want to bring physical attacker, bring a physical attacker. Bring setup, bring, trick room, bring a defensive mon. It's whatever you want. And that's what's terrifying about Mew and people that pick Mew. Philosopher has opted for Mamoswine. Mamoswine gives him the rocks that he was missing. It gives him a really good bulky ground type. The ice typing's a bit unfortunate, but we all love Mamoswine, so please don't be mean to Mamoswine. Just overall, really good ground attacker. Fits on this team pretty well because nothing was going to take electric types all that well. Just super offensive, gives you some stealth rocks, pretty bulky. Overall, just a good pick. Then we have macro drafting Rotom Wash. We have some pretty good pivots on Macro's team here. We have the Landorus and we have the Rotom Wash. Pretty much a really good defensive core to bring every week. That Rotom Wash is going to be Volt turning with Landorus all the time. It's going to throw out some Will-O-Wisp. It's going to discharge. It's going to Hydro Pump. It can Nasty Paw some weeks, although I don't recommend it with the other 2 members on his team. Either way, he will switch out Darkrai or Sneasler when it gets dangerous, and he will switch it out to one of these 2 defensive mons, and he will pivot around until you can't outmaneuver him. Wish picked Sylveon, which is nice for the Dragon Fairy Steel core, right? 2 members are there now. Sylveon's a decent mon, right? Pretty decent on the bulk side. Do you want to get your Fairy type? Because Fairy types are starting to go now. It has the Pixelate Hyper Voice. It's like decently specially offensive, which is what this team sort of needs, while also having some wish support. I think it can dry pass baton pass. Just hope he doesn't set up by accident. You could run calm mindsets. It's just pretty decent, And actually, there is that tech with quick attack Pixelate to pick off some dragon types if they get a little too out of control, which might happen this league. Who knows? And actually, this is good for the matchup into Urshifu's single strike, right? You just quick attack that. That's a 4 times effective quick attack. If it's at I don't know, you could probably train it to KO from 30%. So either way, it's a really nice pick because you get the fairy type, you get wish, you get a lot of support. I like it, actually. Speaking of bulky fairies going away in Dragon Fairy Steel cores, Fella has completed the Dragon Fairy Steel core with Clefable, who is also a staple of bulky fairy and a threat of Gen 8. This mod is so good defensively and offensively. On the lesser side offensively, but just it's so versatile, right? You have unaware sets, you have magic guard sets, you could bring in Fire Blast, Moon Blast, or you could just play it, with some rocks. You could play it as a pivot. It's gonna check those mons as setup, and trust me, mons will be trying to set up. It just forms that good defensive core with Gouging Fire, Treads, and itself. I just really like it. It's a good pick. Gek has picked what is consistently an underrated draft mon in Quaquavel. Quaquavel gives Gek removal in Rapid Spin, but you also have Aqua Step, which is a threat to just set up its speed, and if you happen to give it a KO, it will just speed up, get strong physically, and take over the game, right, with Moxie. And it could just start throwing out Aqua Steps, close combats, killing everything. It could set up with SD to do that too. It has Ice Spinner. It's so good. It's so strong. It can really run away with a game if you're not ready for it. And I love that Gek picked it. Forgery has decided to complete his Dragon Fairy Steel core, right, with Rabombi. And not only that, Rabombi gives him access to Webs and Stun Spore. So super good support. I love Webs. I already told you guys that I like what Webs does for a team, and over here it's doing that too. So just really good for Forgery. Really allows him to control the tempo of the game. And yeah, I mean, you're just throwing out those Moonblasts too. It's a pretty fast mon as well. Possibly the best sticky web user so far, I think, right? Next to Araquanid maybe, but that's more niche. Either way, love Rabombi, but still scared of Rabombi too. On this team, that Excadrill's pretty slow, and Rabombi really helps it up with sticky webs. Same thing with everything actually. You know what? Really nice pick, Forgery. Good stuff. Oh, another sticky web user's been drafted. So I think Cone Baby just really wanted sticky web. It is unfortunate that we repeated a type in water, but Araquanid's still pretty strong, and that water bubble ability really lets it hit some breakpoints with KOs. You're mainly just drafting this for sticky web, but I guess you do have magic bounce on Hatterene and Miracle on this, so it's going to be a lot harder to stack hazards unless you have that Samurai Hisui. Overall, it's a decent pick, right? You're just picking it for sticky webs mainly, and just the bulky water, I guess. Yeah. We are completing our Dragon Fairy Steel core. Noariami's picked Tinkaton, gives them the rocks that they were missing, gives them T-Wave support. Gigaton hammers are strong. Do not underestimate what Gigaton hammer can do. It could set up some weeks. It has the fairy offensive type physically. It's a good mon. It's a really good pick. Fits into this team. Helps it do what it wants to do. And I think it gets knockoff. I don't remember. But if it does, I mean, even better. More knockoff support, right? Then it comes back to Phantasma, who opts for Iron Bundle, the speeding penguin threat. This mon was not banned, even though it's an Uber. Without Terra, it's a little bit more manageable. Water Ice offensively. It does have Hydro Pump, which is an inaccurate move, but it also gets access to Freeze Dry. It's just a super good, super fast attacker. This team sort of needed some speeds to, like hitting that speed tier, right? With Iron Bundle. Has that hyper fast Mon now, and it has a really good special attacker next to Petron. Petron doesn't have as much special attack as you might want it to, but this can just run around and start cleaning stuff up as he pivots around with U-turns and parting shots. And this one also gets flip turn, so every Mon on his turn actually has a way to switch out by clicking a move. That's really good. Either way, we've come to the end of round 4. Favorite pick. Okay, one thing I noticed is that I didn't change Gek's Heatran to Quick Quavel, so let's remember that Quick Quavel is such an insane pick. I love it. It's so underrated, so I'm going to say that's an honorable one. Estrella's pick is really good because it just ties together their whole draft. Soul Blaze picked such an insane wall breaker. Ultra Burst picked my favorite bulky grass type, and Forgery has the sticky web support with Rabombi, who's just such a nice mon. Calm Baby has the same thing. I think everyone's picks are really insane here. I think the demon is Leppy for picking that Mew. I'm still scared about the Mew. But if I had to choose a favorite, it's Quaquavel. I just think it's such a good mon, so underrated, so undervalued, and I think it might become MVP. Who knows? Let's see how Gek uses it. Now we're on to round 5. Phantasma has drafted the last of the Donphan family. We've seen Great Tusk go, we've seen Iron Treads go, now it's time for Donphan to go. That gives him the removal he needs, gives him a good ground type for the electrics that could freely hit his team before. He gets Stealth Rock, he has some priority with Ice Shard, just a really strong EQ. Overall a good defensive bond, helps tie the draft together a lot. Noaria Mies has the Moltres, fire flying, pretty good defensive typing. Helps out with some of the stuff his team needs. Gives him some more resists. The flame body's nice on that chicken wing. He could U-turn pivot. He could throw out some, fire type moves, some flying type moves. I think it's just a good mon. It's really good defensively. It can match up pretty well against a lot of the mons that, other players have. For example, it could take those fairy type moves from all the fairies that were drafted pretty well, right? So I'm excited to see what Noaria Mies can tank with this Moltres. Then we have Con Baby drafting Ceruledge, which is such a tough mon. Just look at that nice design. Either way, they have a mon that could get out of control if it's allowed to set up and get that weak armor going. That Bitter Blade is powerful. It can throw out, some Shadow Claws. Overall, you're just drafting this for like a setup and like a threat on the weak armor side. I do think it's gonna need some support, but it's still a pretty decent mon. I just feel like it. I don't know, man. I would bring this mainly to setup. I don't think I would play it any other way. But I guess this is a good closer for the team. Forgery's drafting Alumamola. Forgery needs to be locked up in a cage because why are you doing this to everyone? This team has 2 regenerator mons now. It has one of the most annoying bulky waters in the world. It has flip turn. So this team is just getting so terrifying with all its ways of turning and all its ways of, switching out if there's an offensive mon who might get caught out, right? This team will just perfectly position into Excadrill while chipping everything down. And you have the sticky webs. Oh my god. Gek has picked a mon that really nicely ties the team together, right? You have the Dragon Fairy Steel Core complete. You have your grounded poison. You have a Spadef tank that could go well with the others. This can spread status. It's a good pivot. I think it gets knockoff. I don't remember. Either way, though, what are the moves that most of his team can't take? Fairy. This takes Fairy pretty well. It's pretty good special. Like it's man, you're just with all these mons to the left, right? You just want that bulky fairy to switch out to. And Pheasant Deputy helps with that. And it's the crazy Spadef tank. You could run AV sets. You could just run beat up and just poison everything because Pheasant Deputy is a great mon like that. And honestly, I kind of want to see a week where, we see setup Pheasant Deputy. That'd be really nice. And now the other of the Eon duo has been picked, with Fella picking up Latios. That is 2 dragon types, but you do get a ground immunity with Levitate. And I mean, same way that Luster Purge came out, Mistball came out. Mistball's going to be pretty hard to resist. You have a lot more support. I believe it does get Healing Wish. You have, you could still drop some Dracos. You could click that Mistball, or you could set up. It's pretty nice to set up with Latios, actually. You have your Draining Kiss sets, all that. It's just a good mon, good special attacker. Because this team was kind of missing that special attacker, right? You don't want Clefable filling that role. So this is nice. Really nice pick. Well done, FFLA. And then Wish has chosen Clodsire, which I think is pretty nice, right? I hate actually building against Clodsire because you need to plan, right? Is this Clodsire gonna bring Water Absorb or is it gonna bring Unaware? I can't just click my Water type move after setting up. It's actually pretty good for that quick Waveable matchup if that ever happens. Either way, Clodsire, just Unaware is such a good mon. It's a bulky mon. It's a defensive, I'd say not staple, but it might get up there. It's its first generation. Let Clodsire get up there. We have some Clodsire fans in the Discord actually too. I just think it's nice. You get that grounded poison as well. Just such a nice mon actually. You could set up with this too. Don't be fooled. Like, this mon can set up curses and just take the game away if you allow it to. I really like Clodsire. Congratulations, Wish, for drafting it. Then you have Mackerel drafting a dragon type in the form of Noivern. Gives them pretty good speed. Like, they're choosing a lot of speedy mons now. But I mean, with the way that you're pivoting around with Landorus and Rotom, you could just bring this in. Boom Burst. You could bring it in Draco, Hurricane, Flamethrower, although not as much. And I think it gets U-turn. So it's just, a good special attacker. I don't remember if it gets defog. If it does, like if they didn't take it away in Gen 9, then that's also, your defogger for the team because there was no removal before that. Overall, it's decent, probably trying to preserve some points for some later picks. We'll see. Then we have the Philosopher picking up another dragon flying type, right? We just saw Noivern, now we're seeing Dragonite. I do like Dragonite a bit more. You have multi-skill, you have sets with extreme speed, you have DD, you could just play defensively with like Hurricane, T-Wave. I've seen all sorts of sets. It's a pretty versatile mon. That's the good part of being made in Gen 1. Overall, just really good mon. It does not get the Terra, so it won't benefit from that, but it could still go out of control with its choice band sets, and it could just be a really good defensive mon with all the stuff on its team. Overall, good pick actually. You could use this to, end games. DD up once and like just throw some extreme speeds, fire punches. We'll see. I'm excited to see like where this team gets taken now. Who's gonna take advantage of these hazards? Leppy really leading into the Trick Room. I think every pick is gonna be Trick Room related now. Iron Hands is just already such a strong mon. It's so powerful, so bulky. Now imagine that. Look at how big those hands are. That's huge, right? That's slapping you before you can even think in Trick Room, right? Gives them electric and fighting, which is pretty good, coverage. It offensively hits a lot pretty well. I don't think there's much that could really switch into an Iron Hands. And if we bring in that, booster energy, oh my god. That thing's going to be ridiculous if it runs AV. Like, that's the thing. The trade-off with Iron Hands was that, you're slower. But this is Trick Room. There's 2 mons that could use Trick Room. All these mons are threats. You can't kill them in one. Leppy is just going to, a lot of people have teams that are just looking for, some, fill in my cores, play around the game, play around my hazards. Leppy will just click Trick Room, send out a mon that is offensive in Trick Room, and just click buttons. And I think that's so refreshing, honestly, because like all that like struggle that you might have to go through, throughout the draft term, planning, counter building, you could just be like, okay, I'm gonna send out Iron Hands. I want to click one of these 4 moves. I'm gonna do it like this. So I think it's really nice to see the Iron Hands. I think it's really nice to see the Trick Room. I want to see what else gets 5 for this Trick Room team, because that's gonna be ridiculous. Estrella picked Low Kicks. Low Kicks gives some knockoff support, first impressions, U-turns, just overall really nice with the tinted lens. I think overall this Mon, just hits some stuff offensively that Estrella couldn't before with the others, right? Like the grass types that the water types might struggle with. You can hit some just types that you can't usually hit, right? That's why Low Kicks is nice. Ty has come around this time to pick up Serena. Really good defensive Mon. Not the best defensive Mon, but gives some removal. Good bulky grass, which is really nice because 2 of his team members are weak to Earthquake with no resist. I think overall, just a nice pick. It's defensive-ish. It's bulky offensive, honestly. Let's be real. But that Power Whip is just so strong. You have Rapid Spin. Queenly Majesty could be really nice if someone's just spamming priority. Raging Bolt. Either way, good pick, fits on the team decently enough. Surely You Just has picked Slitherwing. Honestly, like, Slitherwing sometimes feels like the worst mon in the game in my eyes. Sometimes feels like only a little bit better because it's not Iron Treads. Wait, no. Not Treads, sorry. Iron Thorns. Thorns is terrible. Either way, you get that bug fighting coverage. You have, ways to pivot around with it. It gets first impression. It has a pretty, like, flavorful move pool. Pretty colorful. And with the booster energy, you could do a lot. You're also denying the Sun player, which I think might not be the main intention, but it's still a pretty good mon. It's decently bulky. The only thing is a slice of wind will kill this instantly. That's my only issue. Soulblaze has drafted Arcanine Hisui. Really fun mon, actually, right? You could click the Flare Blitzes, you could click the Head Smashes. I don't know what's actually coming into this team and, resisting anything. Holy crap, like imagine you have to survive Hyperspace Fury and then out comes Arcanine clicking Head Smash. Like, what are you gonna do? Either way, it's actually pretty decent defensively. It only fears water and ground, and the mons on his team are, they seem to deal with it at least a little bit. I don't know if you'd want to switch in Landorus against the ground type, because that chip could actually be beneficial for the opponent. So we'll see what he drafts to make up for this. Ultra Burst got Milotic, completing the Water, Grass, Fire core. Milotic's a good defensive mon. It's actually really bulky water. You get competitive. You have Marble Scale, although you don't want to use that as often. Wait, does this get competitive? I think it does. Either way, I think you could throw around some Scalds. It has the Dragon Tail Sport. Like, I don't know much about what Milotic has going for it, but I know it's a good pick. It's good. It's bulky. It's nice. Nice water. Poison Point has drafted another Photosynthesis mon. A good one too, right? Because all the fairies were starting to go away. So we picked up our fairy in Screamtail. Screamtail gets a benefit from that photosynthesis boost. Maybe, they'll use Perish Song. Who knows? You get a lot of support out of Stealth Rock, Encore. So many supportive moves, actually. You don't want to use it as offensively, honestly, but you could just use all the supportive moves, and it gets really fast in the sun. So it's a pretty good pickup, right? Bulky Fairy, all the stuff you need. Completes the Dragon Fairy Steel core as well. For all the round 5 picks, if I'm really looking at them, the picks weren't as insane this round. I really like the Pheasantipity because of what all the holes it fills for Gex team, and I really like the Iron Hands, because the Iron Hands is just so powerful, so scary in Trick Room, right? Like the whole thing is like you can't chip it down because it's just gonna attack before you even could. Other than that, yeah, the picks went. They didn't have me, out of my chair. Like I'm kind of laying my head down. I'm not gonna lie, but it's decent. It's decent. It's round 5. Come on now. Now for round 6, we have Weavile out of Poison Point. I guess the Weavile is to hit some speed tiers, have a little bit of speed control outside of Sun, hit offensively with Dark and Ice, probably filling in that role that what's his name would have filled, Roaring Moon, right? You get those knockoffs. You could just hit with the Ice Shards, like pretty fast Ice attacker. That is just what Weavile is, right? Fast attacker. Matches up pretty well into some things his team might not be able to hit. Overall, yeah, it's a decent pick. I'm not the biggest fan, but it's decent. I get it could really support the stealth rocks that Screamtail sets up, I guess. Knock off some heavy duty boots. Okay, yeah. Just checking. Now we have Ultra Burst pick in Avalugg Age. I will be honest, I do not know what he is cooking, and I fear it. Avalugg Age is just so bad defensively, in my opinion, right? Because you have a rock and ice type. Although it does have the high defense stat in the type that's going to, that in steel. Steel is so strong against Avalugg, right? That high defense type, or that high defense stat is going to be really good because the majority of steel type moves are physical. It's just going to suck, against Heatran or something. But I mean, it does get sturdy. This Mon could Terra, so maybe he'll tear it into something good. And if he does, then this could be a really good bulky fairy. This could be a really good bulky water on the weeks where he doesn't want to bring my low tech. It could set up. We'll see. Mountain Gale is actually not the worst move in the world. And I mean, Rock offensively is such a good type. So if he could find a way to maneuver this Avalugg, then it could be a pretty decent pick. Next up, we have Heracross, which I assume to be used to just fill some, typing holes around, right? There's no bug type, there's no fighting type. Gets the Psychic, Dark, and Fighting Core complete. Heracross could set up. It could get out of control with Moxie. You could just run a Choice Band, throw out some close combat, some Mega Horns. It actually is spawned to be feared. Either way, though, it's nothing too crazy to worry about. It does have some good resistances, though. We have Sinistcha, which is a freak of nature Mon. I'm terrified of Sinistcha, right? Because it could just click that Shell Smash, and then it could just Giga Drain. And it could throw out those Shadow Balls. It could throw out some Stored Powers, I believe. If not, I believe it could throw out Stored Powers. I don't remember if that's Sinistcha or if that's... I don't know if that's exclusive to the Mon that it converges from, Sinistea and Poltegeist. Either way, right? Gives him a good grass type. Gives him a ghost type to block Rapid Spin. I'm a fan. Honestly, I'm a fan. Just overall a good pick. Good offensive threat. A lot of threats on this team, though. Not as much defensiveness. Ty has picked Ursaluna Blood Moon, which is another great special attacker. Really good wall breaker. Hits those ghost types pretty well with the Mind's Eye ability, right? It's really hard to switch into Ursaluna BM, actually. If he can pivot properly around to get Ursaluna BM in, then it will be taking bodies. So good offensively. It's a really good wall breaker, too, that he was needing on the special side. So I actually really rate this pick. Estrella has opted for Slowbro, which is probably just used for pivoting around. I mean, it could set up with Iron Defense Body Press, or if you really want to get into it, Calm Mind and Stored Power. But I guess we'll see, I'm kind of excited for what this team's gonna do, but we're getting a bit too heavy into the water types. It is rain, but yeah, I mean, We have 3 water types. I hope we don't get more. That's all. We have the Skeledirge now, another Trick Room attacker. He does get a pretty good special attacker out of this that can set up with that Torch Song in Trick Room. Oh my god. This is going to be so hard to deal with. And, I'm just thinking about it, man. Like, how are you going to deal with this team? If you kill one thing, another Trick Room threat's going to come out. It's just such a good mon, right? It has that Unaware as well. That Unaware is really going to take away the game. Because even if, like, somehow you manage to set up on this Trick Room team, right? This mon just comes out. And it doesn't care about anything you did. All your efforts will be null and void. So I really like Skeledirge. Philosopher has picked up Glamora. So I remember mentioning that I talked about how, Goldengo even blocks the new hazard removal in the form of Mortal Spin, but I guess Philosopher wanted to take that for himself. So now his hazard removal is in the form of Mortal Spin. It's a pretty good move though, and it fills 2 types that he doesn't have. Glamora is actually a pretty good special attacker, believe it or not, despite having the rock type. It's fast enough that it doesn't matter as much, but it still does have that 4 times weakness to ground. But he could definitely maneuver around it with his Dragonite. I think it's a really nice pick. Sludge Wave's going to come out. Meteor Beams might come out. Who knows? Be terrified of the Glamora. And Glamora could Terra. Who knows? I made it so it's terrible. We'll see. Macro has chosen one of my childhood favorite mons in Metagross. So with this pick, you're getting a really nice setup mon. You're getting a nice defensive-ish mon, bulky offense. You're allowed to click those heavy slams. You're allowed to click those bullet punches. Psychic Fangs to clear screens. I didn't even think about that. You're getting your Steel type for your Steel Dragon Fairy Core, which isn't fully complete yet. Just need a Fairy type. And you're getting that Psychic type for the Psychic, Dark, and Fighting Core. So just really nice. Fits into the team. Glues some stuff together. Really like Metagross. I just wish it was a little bit better of a mon. Wish is picking Moltres Galar. Galarian Moltres is actually a threatening mon. It can't Terra, but it can take away a game, right? With the Berserk and the Nasty Plot and the Agilities, it could just Fiery Wrath and Hurricane through the game. I think that's what the goal was here, to get a nice, stronger special attacker than everything that was drafted previously, and just get something that could take the game away if it's allowed to set up. Now we have FF Ella picking another Fairy type, but this one is also their Poison type, right? That's their grounded Poison, because you don't want to bring Levitate with this. It also gives them Misty Surge, which could be interesting, and Neutralizing Gas. There are some abilities that you don't want to see, performing all that well. It's also a good bulky mon. It has a lot going for it, actually. You have your Pain Split sets, you have Will-O-Wisp, you have some good offensive sets with Strange Steam and Sludge Bomb. Like, it's just a really good mon. I like it. I like what it can do for the team. I just think it might be conflicting with the Clefable and not, running Levitate instead of being a grounded Poison. What if Toxic Spikes come out? But I guess you do have Latios to fill up that Levitate role. We'll see. Gek has picked up Zarude, completing the Grass, Water, and Fire Core, while also giving a really nice mon to the no Psychic type. Yeah, no Psychic type, so no Psychic Fighting and Dark, but he has 2 out of 3 members. Either way, that mon can click Knockoff, so he could set up with those hazards with Gliscor or Heatran, and as he just, chips you away with Zarude, Pheasantipity might be getting off some T-Spikes. If it gets T-Spikes, I honestly don't remember if that gets T-Spikes either. But, once again, just enabling all that chip to be created on mons, taking away those heavy-duty boots that people might have. It might even pick up KOs just raw like that, this mon is actually pretty strong, and it could set up if you wanted to. Next up, we have Tauros Paldea Blaze from Forgery. This fills in the fire type for a fire, water, grass core that might come along the way. Fills in a fighting type too that Forgery has yet to have. It gives intimidate support. It's actually a really nice mon with the firefighting offensiveness. You know, that gens 3 to 5 starter typing, right, for fire types. It actually does hit pretty decently offensively. You could run that Cudchew setup. Oh, Cudchew. Either way though, like, it's just a decent mon. I think Forgery's just drafting really well, really preserving points too with this pick. Now we have Cone Baby with the steel type required for their team. I'm not a fan of the repeating types once again, but because now we have 2 psychics and 2 waters. Either way, it's fine. We have the Steel Fairy Dragon Core partially complete. 2 out of 3 members are there now. This is a good mon for Trick Room, which he's starting to kind of have on his team now that I look at it. But it's good support too. It has Levitate. It's just that bulky defensive steel. It has rock support. You could do a little bit of setup with some iron defense body press. I think it's nice. I like it. Tentacruel is No Area Me's decision for removal. Gives them a water type so they can make a water fire grass core later on. Gives them a grounded poison. It's a good Spadef wall. It's just overall, it actually fits really nice with the team. It gets that haze if something gets out of control. I think I had a pretty mighty pick actually. Phantasma's picking Belly Bolt, which is a bulky electric. I don't know if I'm a big fan of it, but I mean, he is seeming to opt for some bulky offense, minus the Iron Bundle. It gives him some Volt Switch. Muddy Water is pretty decent. He does have 2 mons that opt for inaccurate water type moves though, but it's fine. If this mon were to Terra, it'd be pretty nice. We'll see what he decides down the road if this is gonna Terra, but it's okay. It's not the greatest. It's okay. I mean, it's round 6, right? You can't just keep picking crazy hitters. Out of all the round 6 picks, there are some good champions out here, right? Shoutouts to Gek with the Zarude. Shoutouts to Wish with the potential of the Moltres Galar. Macros Metagross is just such good glue. Tizer Saluna Blood Moon is very necessary to his draft. It really helps it together. And I think that's mainly everything I wanted to address. No Area Me's actually picked really well with that. Tentacruel though. I think everyone did some decent picks. It's round 6. It's hard to make a good pick, right? Phantasma is spinning the block back with Darkspun, which completes 2/3 of the Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Still need his dragon. Either way though, Darkspun's so good. And it's really insane into that matchup with Gouging Fire. It's so impossible for Gouging Fire to play against it. It's going to resist the dragon. It's going to resist the fire. It's ridiculous. Public Body is just such a good ability. Gives him a fire resist, which, remember, he has Scizor that the fairy can switch into, right? Other than that, right, you could dry pass with Baton Pass. You have your wishes that you could throw around, just some body presses, some play roughs, some roars if you need. I think it's a really nice pick. Then we have No Area Me's with Rotom Mo, getting a offensive-ish pivot. You get the Volt Switches, you have the Leaf Storms, not repeating any types, getting that Grass, Fire, Water core complete. So now we have 2 cores complete here. Yeah, we have Dragon Fairy Steel and Fire, Grass, Water. Levitate user, just covering types that aren't being used. They could set up. It's just nice. It's just a nice mon. Con Baby has elected to go for their grounded poison in the form of Toxtricity. Toxtricity is a really nice mon. You get that electric poison offensiveness. You have both forms if you really want. You could run the shift gear set, or you could just run Punk Rock with Boom Burst and the Throat Spray, right? Pretty decent mon. I like it. I like what the team can do with it, right? Because there wasn't really a special attacker for this team, and now they finally have one. Forgery has gone for a second form of removal in Brambleghast. Not a second form of removal, just a second removal mon, I guess. In the form of Brambleghast. I don't know when you would want to run it over Excadrill, but it does also spin block for him if he opts to put in some hazards on anything, which would just be Brambleghast and Excadrill, right, with spikes and Stealth Rock respectively. It's a good spin blocker, yeah. I think I just said that. Completes his core, grass, fire, water. Overall, just decent. Good glue. Good glue. And you have the strength sap, actually, which might be nice. Speaking of spin block, we have Annihilate as a spin blocker for the Stealth Rocks, I guess. It's a really nice ghost type. I hope you can play around it well. You have your final Gambit sets. You have Choice Scarf for that. You have Choice Banded Close Combats. You can U-turn with it. You can bring out Stone Edge. I think Gunk Shot. And don't forget how crazy a bulky Rage Fist set can get if gone unattended. So I think this is a sleeping threat for his team. As he pivots around, he could bring this in on some hits that Annihilate can take and become scary in the late game. FFL has opted for a really good special attacker. This is an insane special attacker breaker in the form of Thunderous T. Voltazorb is a really nice ability to have. It fills some types that aren't present yet. You have really strong electric attacking power that could just steamroll through those teams that might not bring the best ground type, right? Because Meowscarada can run through it. I just really like this Thunderous pick. It's overall just such a strong and powerful mon to bring. Yeah, man. And that Nasty Plot could be insane. Next up, we have Wish picking the fastest mon in the game and getting removal, Regieleki. Regieleki with that super high speed stat that is probably impossible to outspeed, actually. This mon doesn't have many moves, right? It's just super fast electric type attacker, and it can explode on you, I guess. That's the normal type move. Explosion or Swift. Pick your poison. Other than that, that's just what it is. Helps fill up some speed tiers for him. Mackerel has finally gotten a terrain mon. We have the grassy terrain being opted through Arboliva. I'm not a big fan of using Arboliva to get grassy terrain because you need to be hit first. But Arboliva is also a decent, it's a pretty good mon, right? It's versatile, it's bulky, it could run multiple different sets, and it will be able to Terra if he wants it to. So I just think this mon can be taken in so many directions and could do so much for the team. It also gives him a grass type for that grass, water, fire core that he might be thinking of making down the road. No repeated types with the Arboliva pick. It's just really nice. Energy Ball, Earth Power. Okay, yeah, I really respect it. And it could click Terra Blast before it even Terras, right? Because it's still getting stabbed either way. Now we have Philosopher, taking advantage of the fact that Arena Trap is not banned and picking Doug Trio. I think Doug Trio has just picked the trap people and kill it, right? All the things that this team might be struggling a bit with is a pretty good electric type, right? A good electric type would kind of, do a lot to this team. Minus the Mamoswine, nothing on the team resists it. It could trap those ground types. It could trap those pesky steel types. It could do a lot. It could just, 1v1 and kill or big time chip a mon, especially if you have a defensive mon out that doesn't have U-turn or anything. I think Duckchu is a fair and mighty pick. Then we have Leppy choosing Ninetales Alola, which brings a snow mode to the team. There's no mons on the team currently that could take advantage of it, but it gives it good speed. It gives the team good speed outside of Trick Room. It gives Aurora Veil support, which is really strong, and Uh, yeah, also gives them a very fast ice type, so you don't have to worry about the defensive weakness of ice. And it does counter those, weather teams. Play some weather wars against the weather teams so that they can't just steamroll Leppy if they get up sun or rain. You could just get up your hail or your snow, I guess. Estrella has opted for yet another flying type and yet another electric type. So now there's 2 electric flying types on the team with Kilowattrel. Although Kilowattrel is super strong and you could Terra it if you want to. You have competitive on it. You have Wind Rider on it. You could really just run a Volt Switch, Thunderbolt. Like it's just such a good mon. And with Terra, it's so threatening. It's overall a decent mon too, right? It could pick up KOs where Zapdos couldn't, and Zapdos could be defensive where Kilowattrel definitely can't. Ty's picking Talonflame, so we have Fire, Grass. We're just missing a Water. It's a good flying type, once again, for the grounds that could just hit it pretty easily. It's super fast mon. You have Gale Wings, you have Tailwind support if you really want to go for it, because this team is on the slower end. You could throw out some Flare Blitzes, some SD sets, maybe a Katera. I don't know. I think it's a pretty decent pick, though. It really helps the team with the speed issue. Jest has decided to get Mandibuzz against all the hate that I have given Mandibuzz. I've personally told all the coaches that Mandibuzz is such a fraud, and I can't wait to see Mandibuzz be a fraud. I guess they get some knockoff support. Yeah, let's move on to the next. Soul Blaze picking one of everyone's favorite mons growing up, Gengar. Gengar gives them Ghost and Poison. They get that poison. They get that grounded poison for T-Spikes matchups. Just overall, Gengar being a good mon to spin block with. You're pretty good offensively into the fairies. It's a good special attacker for the stuff that Landorus might not be able to hit. There is some repeats. They're both probably going to run Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, or whatever. Either way, though, I mean, Gengar's nice. Gengar's really nice, and it hits stuff pretty well offensively. And it has especially attacking Focus Blast for that Archaludon matchup, right? Ultra Burst has chosen Klefki, which is so underrated, or maybe not underrated, because like when you see Klefki, no, I'm gonna say Klefki's underrated, because you could just throw some T-Waves, some spikes, you can set up dual screens, you could Dazzling Gleam, you could set up with it. This mon actually does a lot, and on a really good typing. Right now you have Steel, Fairy, and Dragon. Prankster's just such a good ability. You just can really take it in multiple directions, although you could just use it for the dual screens and be able to freely set up on Latios, I guess, right? Or on the Rillaboom. And you could get off your sticky webs maybe without dying in case they remove it. We'll see how he uses Klefki. Poison Point has drafted their Chlorophyll Grass type. They get their Grass, Water, Fire Core. They also get a Fighting, Psychic, and Dark Core. Yeah, that actually does make it a pretty decent pick. It has Chlorophyll. I think it gets Sleep Powder, right? So just in the sun, it's going to be hitting you with those Chlorophyll solar blades. He won't have to run it with Hustle, thank God. I hate Hustle. Just a super good offensive mon. Really takes advantage of the sun to speed itself up and do a lot of damage. Okay. So these are all the picks at the end of round 7. I think the Darkspun is underrated and really good. I really like the Klefki. I believe is a really good mon. I think Thundurus is so strong too. We're seeing a lot of electric types here though, so maybe people are gonna draft some ground types if they're missing any. And that's what Poison Point did. He did that exactly. He picked Crocodile, repeating a dark type, although maybe he wants the knockoff support for some items. Maybe some choice Scarf Breaker points that he wants to get through. Either way, Crocodile does give Earthquake support too. On some choice sets, you could really take the game away with Moxie. You have access to Intimidate too. Hone Claws, Stone Edge, I guess. Krookodile is just a decent basic mon that you could bring. It's decently bulky. It's pretty strong offensively. Like, I like it. Ultra Burst picking the cat, the VGC #1 Pokemon, Incineroar. Fire and Dark typing is already being repeated through Chi-Yu. Although this mon, I'm not sure if Incineroar can Terra in this. I think it can. Either way, though, I mean, you know, you've probably heard a Wolfie video telling you everything that's good about Incineroar. That times 2 for singles, right? Because you don't have 2 mons to go into Incineroar with, right? You could only use one, and he'll just parting shot. He'll come out with Intimidate. He'll fake out for the chip. He'll parting shot, or he'll U-turn. Whatever he wants to do. And he could play setup, I guess. You could run the setup Incineroar if you want. Either way, really nice mon. Not sure about repeating the typing, though. Soul Blaze really just filling in slots on his team. Raiku's a really nice mon to pick up. Electric type support. Or not electric type support, but just gets that electric type on his team. Fast mon. It's a legendary, obviously. It could set up. It could run subsets. Just clicks those electric moves that the team was missing. Surely You Just has picked their fire type, completing the fire, water, grass core. Cinderace has protein. This was a threat in Gen 8 when it came out. It could set up a bit. It gives court change, which is a very unique move and can really turn things into Jess's favor, right? Because he has no removal. Don't think Mandibuzz gets a defog anymore. And nothing else can remove anything. So court change is actually pretty much a necessity unless he wants to run heavy duty boots every week. Ty has Quagsire, Unaware Mon, Water, Grass, Fire. Another good ground type, although he is repeating types. Unaware is good. Water Absorb's decent. That's really all you want Quag for, right? He's that defensive Mon. Strela gets a grass type with Swift Swim. Really good for the Brain team. We're really drafting a lot of waters and electrics and flyings, I'm noticing. But I mean, you want that Swift Swim, right? You want to take advantage of the fact that you have rain and your mon could get so fast and so out of control. And Ludicolo is one of the best Swift Swim mons you could get because of the unique offensive coverage that it gets with grass and water typing. And Leppy has done something crazy here, right? Because you could run Satiatin in Trick Room, or you could run it with Slush Rush in the snow, or you could run it with that other ability that makes it heal in the snow. Either way, the Satiatin pick is really nice here, really ties together with the team. It's a good threat, and it could Terra if he wants it to. I love it. We have Philosopher choosing Thunderous Eye, Thunderous Incarnate. Really good mon for Prankster. Can throw around those T-Waves. Remember, that's what it got. 3 mons or 3 nerfs for all the things that it has with its performance in VGC in Gen 5. Just overall decent mon. It's a little bit more supportive, I guess, than I would like it to be, but it's still a good offensive threat. We have Diancie, which is actually one of my favorite mons. It gives Macro access to typing that he doesn't have before, or he didn't have before, right? It gives him like decent trick room because he has some mons that are on the slower end. If this Terras, then it could also become a decent mon that doesn't get just destroyed by all the steel types that are present. Completes his Fairy Steel Dragon Core though. That's nice. This mon could actually take a game away if you allowed to. Like, there's those Custap Berry sets. It could just, stack up defense with Diamond Storm. It's really good. Wish chose Greninja. So now we have our Water, Grass, Fire Core. We have Psychic, Dark, and Fighting. Oh no, we already did have Water, but it's fine because this mon has Protein. It could set up its spikes. It could set up T-spikes, I'm pretty sure. Has good offensive pressure. And it's a decent pivot, right, with U-turn. It's just Greninja, man. Like, Greninja's a good mon. We have fellow with Mesprit, another Levitate mon, another Psychic type. I'm not too sure I like this pick. It's I'd say it's the lesser three of the duo between Mesprit, Azelf, and Yuxi, but who knows? Maybe they could make it work. It's pretty bulky. I think it gets U-turn and knockoff. I hope it gets U-turn and knockoff. That'd be so sad if it doesn't. Either way though, decent-ish mon. Just repeats a lot on the team already, so I don't know how useful it'll be. Keck has chosen Deoxys Defense, which is a really nice pick here. You get your Psychic, Fighting, Dark Core complete, and you get a super bulky mon that could set up if you wanted to, while also having access to teleport, the greatest pivot in the entire game. Now imagine you pull up, you have like a crazy threat on his Gliscor, right? Like, let's say you have an Ice type on the Gliscor. Guess what he goes to? Deoxys Defense. And you're like, okay, whatever, like, it's Deoxys Defense, who cares? Deoxys Defense teleports. What does he teleport to? Probably one of his fighting types. Probably, yeah, just one of his fighting types, right? And then, what are you going to do when Quick Wave wants to either click Close Combat, or Swords Dance on you, or Aqua Step? Like, that's what's so ridiculous about teleport. It's such a good move. But, this might come out, and you might be like, oh, he's going to teleport. Let me preemptively switch out to something good. And then it sets up. So let's see how he uses it. I'm excited. Forgery picking up I want to say Grounded Poison, but I mean it's running Levitate half the time. I mean, you do have Neutralizing Gas too, though, which will probably come pretty often. But yeah, Grounded Poison, that's what they needed. Fills in some types that aren't already covered by the team. You have some supportive moves with Pain Split and all that just overall decent pick, yeah. Con Baby has taken Iron Boulder. I don't know how Iron Boulder stayed up, but I think we have a lot of Psychic types on the team right here. We might need Psychic Surge for size spam, because there's a lot going on here. Either way, Iron Boulder's a pretty good threat. It is a bit of a fraud mon, I'm not gonna lie. You might expect it to do pretty well in drafts, but when you know it's coming, there's a lot of moves that could hit it super effectively. You could pivot around with U-turn and hit it super effectively. It's hard to set this mon up. It's still a really good offensive threat though. Pretty good physical attacker. And honestly, pretty good wall breaker. That he was missing a wall breaker. Let's be honest. Now we have normies picking up their Psychic type, getting the Psychic. Oh wait, no, they already have a Psychic type in the form of Deoxys Speed. Either way, they have Reuniclus. Nice bulky mon. It's actually overall a pretty decent mon. It gets Regenerator. It's just bulky offensive, right? It's bulky offensive. It's strong hitter. It'll take a hit before hitting you back. Overall, like, pretty decent. I don't know how he plans to use it, but we'll see. If I see Hammer Arm come out of Reuniclus, though, I might ban him. Phantasma picking up a mon that I actually really like, Volcanion. We are repeating Water type, but you're not going to use Iron Bundle as your defensive water, right? This gives them fire water coverage, so maybe they're going to get a grass type next. Either way though, Water Absorb's a really nice move. It has a very unique offensive coverage duo, I guess, right, with fire and water attacks. You could do flame charge sets, you have earth power, you have sludge bomb. You have a lot of like decent offensive moves, and you can set up with flame charge. You could run an AV set. I really like it actually. Volcanion's nice. And once again, we're stacking up immunities on this team, right? You have a fire immunity, you have a water immunity. And I mean, it's another mod that could switch in if Darkspawn can't for that fire resist with Scizor. Overall, these are all the picks for round 8. my favorite just has to be Deoxys Defense because Teleport is so good. Round 9. Phantasma's picking up one of the 2 remaining Ogerpon forms. Ogerpon Cornerstone gives them rock and grass coverage, and like I said, that's what they wanted, right? Water, grass, fire completed, while also getting rock coverage offensively. This is one of the only mons with the ability to use an offensive rock type move that's physical and 100% accurate. Ivy Cudgel is super strong. It's super good. You also get sturdy on your team, so there's a trend of this team having ways to live your moves or even be immune to them. While also having some good support in spikes, so really good pick. I want to see what you do with it. Normies choosing another psychic type, but this time in Shadow Tag. Maybe he wants to see his opponents burn in a fire. I don't know, but he keeps on. He picks his psychic types, and then he picks the one with Shadow Tag. It is the duo to Reuniclus from Gen 5. If you know, you know. You have some decent support, but realistically, you're picking it for Shadow Tag. You could just get a free opportunity to set up with this mon. You have to think twice when team building, right? You're going to have to probably put on some shed shells on mons that can't pivot out. Because if this mon locks up a good matchup in front of it and just starts setting up calm mines, you've lost the game. Cone Baby drafting Hydreigon, which is someone else's mascot. So it's kind of messed up. Either way, though, we have our Dragon type here for the Dragon Fairy Steel core. And we have our Dark type for the Dark Psychic and Fighting core. This is just another good offensive, bulky-ish mon to go with the other special attackers on his team that he's sort of missing, right? It's just Toxtricity at the moment. This has Levitate. It fills in types that he's missing. Overall, it has the Nasty Paws sets. You could throw out some Dark Pulses, some Dracos, some Earth Powers. It's a dragon at the end of the day. It does get some good elemental coverage. But overall, it's good. It's a good pick. Then we have Forgery with Meloetta, which I think is a really fun mon. Once again, Forgery actually might hit perfect type coverage here. This guy hasn't repeated a single type. Either way, good special attacking mon. Sometimes you could bring it as a physical mon. It gets knockoff. You have your calm mindsets that you could run. This mon is Terrable, so you could get some really nice sets with Terra. And just like Arboliva, Terra is stab before it terastallizes, so you're always getting stab out of Terra Blast. Gek chose Golem Alola, possibly for the steel type matchups that some of his mons might struggle with, such as Pheasantipity, right? Wants to switch in against Pheasantipity, steel types. And with Magnipole, he could make a lot of stuff happen. It also gives him electric and rock coverage. He could Scarf it. He could Terra this. He could make a lot happen with Golem. Golem's actually kind of underrated, especially if it could Terra out of that terrible typing. I like it. Good pick. Fella has chosen Calyrex. I think towards this point, people don't have a lot of points, so they're really just drafting low tier mons. You might think you might hear Calyrex, you might think that horse that just keeps winning, but that's Spectre and Glastrier that make that happen. And this is normal Calyrex. This is the bunny that just floats places and just talks to you in your head. This mon is kind of terrible. I don't like seeing another psychic type on the team. But I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? This is just probably filler slot. Wish chose Decidueye, getting a ghost type spin blocker for the team. Decidueye, honestly, it's a decent one, I guess. I don't remember if it gets defog or not. I'm pretty sure it does. I mean, I don't know if Gen 9 took it away. I know I had it before. You have Swords Dance. I think you get knockoff. You have Spirit Shackle, which actually could be pretty good. and just Leaf Blade. I guess it's more of a favorite mon. I don't know where this is gonna fit in other than just being random spin block. I don't know when you would want to run this over other mons. Mackerel, we have Indeedee M. I think it's a good pick, right? Does Indeedee M get the Psychic Surge? I don't know if both Indeedees get it. If they do, that's fine, right? Thank God there's a better way to get terrain. You get your Psychic, Dark, and Fighting core complete. Just a decent, defensive-ish, like good supportive mon, right? Hits a bit on the special side, but not that important. You're mostly running it for terrain. If it's, you know what? Let me check. Let me Google this. Really quick, because this is important. Indeedee M, because I only see Indeedee F ran. Okay, yes, it gets Psychic Surge. So we're chilling. Macro made a good pick here. This is really important over Arboliva. Really enables Caesar a lot more. And you have your options on how you want to run them. Alright, let's move on to the next. Here we have Palisand. We're drafting a lot of ground types on Philosopher's team, but also it's a second ground type, so I think it's just a favorite mon. If I remember correctly, I think it is Terrorbill for Philosopher, so you don't have to deal with all these repeated typings on the team. Water Compaction's decent. This could just turn into a bulky water for him, or a fairy if he really wants. Overall though, it's a decent mon. It's another spin block, I guess. It helps support the team a bit. Maybe on those times where, you can't bring Mamoswine as easily because that ice type. We'll see how Philosopher uses it. Then we have Leppy drafting another slow mon. We are repeating the ground type, which is unfortunate, but Gastrodon has such good typing, water and ground. The only thing strong against it is grass, and he just drafted 3 mons that completely destroy grass. So not a big issue. Yeah, I mean, it's a good defensive mon. Pretty decent support. Just really hard to kill. Estrella has locked in another Swift Swim user and has gone a Dragon type on their team. Oh, no. They already have the Dragon type. So they're just looking for a fairy now, either way. This is pretty good Swift Swim, right? It's really strong in the rain. Throws out those Hydro Pumps, Hurricanes, Draco, Meteors. Just overall nice mon. Threat. This team is going to be really hard to deal with, honestly, for everyone. Ty has chosen yet another Sticky Web user. We had Galvantula earlier. We had Rabombi. We had Araquanid. And now we have someone choosing Vikavolt. Vikavolt gives him coverage that he didn't have before. It also helps with that speed control issue that he still has, because Tailwind wasn't going to cut it, let's be honest. Sticky Web really helps a lot, and it really gives more power to Bisharp to click knockoff all the time. I like it. Really good pick. Sticky Web is always good on a team. Now we have Lantern out of Surely You Jest, which gives him electric type coverage, heal bell, you have volt switch, you could throw out your water moves, electric moves, you have lightning rod and water absorb, depending on what you want to run for the week. Overall, decent mon, just a supportive mon. T-Waves. Soul Blaze has Sand / Alola, really just going to hit every type, right? Like, not a single repeated type. Super impressive. Ice Steel is a terrible defensive type, but you could just Terra out of that terrible typing and see some good use. It could be good into that Snow matchup that he could potentially get. But yeah. Ultra Burst choosing Galarian Articuno, which is such a nicely designed one. I really like it. Only issue is that we're repeating the Psychic type, but I think this mon can Terra, so it might not be an issue. Either way, you get a lot out of it with the Freezing Glare, Hurricanes. You could set up. You could just like click moves with choice specs or choice scarf. It's kind of similar to Latios, but it has a better time setting up. Poison Point has chosen Magnezone, which gives them another steel type and another electric type. I'm not sure what the intention with Magnezone is. Maybe just Magnet Pull, but I don't know if this team really needs the support against steel types with Magnet Pull. It could just be pretty strong, relatively strong, right? Throw out some flash cannons, throw out some discharges, see what happens. I'm not the biggest fan of this pick though. And that concludes round 9. I think out of round 9, my favorite picks are going to be the Vikavolt, Articuno. Hydreigon does a lot for the team that's picked on. Phantasma's pick is really good with the Ogerpon Cornerstone. Everything is just a decent pick. But yeah, I really like the Sticky Web. So I'm gonna give it to Vikavolt. Now we have round 10. And this is the last round that some trainers have to participate in because you need 10 to 12 bonds on your team. So they are going to be picking up their last members. And Poison Point rounding out the team with the mascot Regirock. Gives some offensive rock pressure. Terrible defensive typing though, even though it's a pretty good defensive Mon. You could get the sturdy sets, Resto Chesto. Just a lot you could do with it if it didn't have rock typing, which you might see if they decide to Terra it. Yep, those are all his picks. Next up, we have Ultra Burst with Zoroark, which creates another dark type on the team, but I don't think that's the reason Zoroark would be chosen, because of the mind games you could play with Illusion, right? You could just see Zoroark come out and you're like, is this, Zoroark will come out as like a Galvantula or something, right? And then you're like, oh, is this Galvantula or is this Zoroark? You don't know. That's an issue, and that's pretty much the reason to pick Zoroark. Next up we have Soul Blaze choosing Orthworm, finally repeating a type. And remember, Shedtail is banned, but you get Earth Eater, which is a good ability, and you get some spike support, and you could do some defensive setup. You have Coil, you have Iron Defense, Body Press. I think it's decent. Surely You Jest is drafting Typhlosion Hisui, repeating some types with Fire and Ghost. It's still a good Mon. It is terrible if he opts to do that. Terrifier Eruption would be insane. Pretty good offensive coverage, right, with the Fire and the Ghost. Could really deal with those steals, potentially even fairies that his team might struggle with. And that is his last pick as well. Ty here picking up the Primarina, getting another water type, a bit more bulkier than Quagsire, getting a fairy type. They get Fairy Steel, now just looking for a dragon type. Yeah, really just a bulky water with all the speed control going on. Does not need something fast, and this hits pretty heavy. This could set up 2 even. Estrella choosing Tornadus Incarnate, which is another way to get up the rain, right? With the Prankster Rain Dance. You could still throw some Bleak Wind Storms in the rain too. Overall, you're kind of just picking as another way to get rain though. And that's the last pick of their team. Leppy over here picking Jumpluff. Low Point Mon, decent Mon, right? Really fast. Sleep Powders, Acrobatics. It's decent. You should fear it. And it really helps outside of Trick Room, right? And you get Grass, Water, Fire out of it, although I doubt it will be brought pretty often. Also gives you a resistance in the form of flying to ground types. Philosopher choosing their mascot in the form of Porygon. That's really it. It's just the mascot. Next up we have Mackerel choosing Chandelure, which gives them the Fire, Water, Grass Core, along with a Spin Blocker. Although, yeah, I guess they could set up with Diancie and Landorus. Also really good into substitutes with the Infiltrator ability. not much else to say about Chandelure, right? It could set up a little bit. It could run Choice Scarf, Choice Specs. Prefers not to run Choice Specs as often, though. Probably needs Choice Scarf a bit more. Still a decent mon. Flame Body's a good ability. But it could be really good into those matchups where someone could just set up a sub on him. Next up we have Wish with Grafii. You know, Grafii is a decent mon. Gives him another grounded poison. Not that he really needed one. This mon could just set up on you. This mon could encore you. Prankster's really good ability though that it has. It could really just lock you into some bad moves. I like Grafii. It's decent. I don't know if it fits the best into this team though. We have Fella using their one remaining point to get Venonat. It's a grounded poison, I guess, if they want to bring Levitate. Galarian Weezing. I think it's just for fun pick though. It kind of looks like the Master Ball in their icon. Gek also choosing their last team member in the form of Pikachu, the mascot himself. Pikachu is actually a really strong Pokemon, believe it or not. Like, you might underestimate it, but I mean, you have Fake Out for Chip, you have Nuzzle, you have, does it get Volt Tackle right now? Not sure. You have Light Ball though, you have Surf, like, it has a lot of moves, right? It's the mascot, like, they're gonna give it such a flavorful move pool, and with Light Ball, you can hit things pretty easily, and you could Terra it if you really want. Next up, we have Forgery choosing Articuno. This breaks the streak of the perfect type coverage that he had, but I don't think it's too much of a worry for him. I don't know. Like, Articuno's a decent mon. I think this would need to be Terra'd to do anything super useful, but you could sub, or you could set up a sub. You could freeze dry. Can't set up really, can it? Either way though, I mean, you're just clicking Hurricane. You have Toxic too, I guess. It could stall. Cone Baby, bringing in Scrafty, which kind of repeats some types, but you also do get access to Moxie boosts. You have DD, it's a pretty bulky mon. I think it will probably get Terra to Terra out of this repeated typing. And I mean, there is a pretty good Trick Room team forming here as well, right? Trick Room mode. With Scrafty, it could go pretty decently if you get enough setups done with Bulk Up. No Area Mies has opted for Fortress, which has that really good typing that Scizor has. It's a form of removal for him through Rapid Spin again. Sets up some hazards. Can Volt Switch about. Just a good defensive mon. Probably just to round out the team on some weeks where he can't bring some other mons. And then we have Phantasma picking Altaria. Altaria can DD up. Altaria can Roost. I don't know if it could defog anymore. It's still pretty decent. And it fills in a Dragon slot for the team. Just hoping. Yeah. You have Dragon Fairy Steel. That's all you need. And it's a flying type to resist ground, or be immune to ground. So for this round, some people have made their last pick, so they're a bit weaker, but I personally think the Scrafty's nice. It really allows a Trick Room mode to be played. Estrella has a second way of getting Rain Up if the Pelipper happens to die. And I gotta respect the game that Ultra Burst is going for, man. That Illusion's Horror's gonna do some crazy stuff. Now we have round 11. Round 11, Phantasma has opted for Cutie Fly. So, it's Cutie Fly. It's a terrible mon. But I mean, I think it gets Sticky Web. I hope it gets Sticky Web. But either way, it's just, rounding out the draft, I guess. No Area Mies has picked Glaceon, which is a typing that they didn't have before. You have some Freeze Dry sets. You have some Wish. You have some Dry Passes you could do with Baton Pass. It's decent. Cone Baby has Toucannon drafted, which gives them some type coverage that they didn't have before in normal and flying. It's a decent mod if they want to Terra it, but it's kind of just a filler slot, I guess. Forgery finally picking up Sand to enable the Excadrill even more on this team. Tyranitar is also just a decent mon. None of its types have been used on this team yet. Does that give him full type coverage? I'm not sure. Either way, just a really nice mon. Enables him to play Sand if he wants to. Tyranitar just overall, like, the Unnerve could be useful too for matchups where he doesn't want someone to bring like any given berry. And this could set up with DD. I mean, it's just Tyranitar. Like, everyone knows how versatile Tyranitar is. Next up, we have Leppy with Toad School. Just another fun mon picked, I think. It is still pretty decently fast. I think it still suffers from Mycelium Might, but you do have a Spore that you could click. Yeah, that's all it has. Ty has chosen Iron Moth, which is a super strong mon and gives the grounded poison that they were missing. It's just a really good wall breaker to go next to everything else, and it has a decent speed stat compared to everything else on the team. I think it's decent. I think with a Tailwind or a Sticky Web, this thing could just click Fiery Dance and just take the game away on its own. Soul Blaze has drafted Lurantis, giving them the grass type that they were missing for the grass, fire, water core. Contrary is always super nice with the leaf storms and the superpowers. Does it click superpower? Yeah, I think it does. Either way, super nice mon. Really respect what it can do. Good pick, rounds out the draft a lot. And for some reason, the team named the fairies has no fairies drafted so far. Ultra Burst drafting Ditto. Good mon. Really just, those weeks where you have a really bad matchup, you could just pick Ditto, let them set up, bring out the Ditto, make some moves. Here are all the round 11 picks. We've lost about half the roster to them finishing their draft earlier. Nicest picks of this, though there are some nice picks here still. I'm gonna respect Forgery's pick a lot with the Sand Rush and Sand Voice activation for Excadrill and just overall Tyranitar being a good mon. Iron Moth was, I think, a necessity for Ty's team so they could actually kill stuff. And Ditto is just such a nice pick, right? It really lets you mind control the enemy team's draft as well. The final round, around 12. We have Ultra Burst locking in Ampharos, rounding out the team a bit, picking them on they like, I guess. Ty getting in DDF, getting another VGC mon, common one. Getting that Psychic Surge support so that he doesn't always have to use Quinley Majesty on priority moves. Then we have Forgery getting Ferret, which gives him Tidy Up support. And then we have... Oh, that's everything. Wow. And there it is. The last pick of the draft was Ferret. I think my favorite pick here might be Ty's because it gives him coverage he doesn't have. But Ferret's also a good shout with Tidy Up, especially for that Goldengo matchup. So let's go through all the final teams. First up, we have Poison Point with the Brittatas. We have Torkoal, Walking Wake, Corviknight, Rotom Heat, Screamtail, Weavile, Lilligant, Hisui, Krookodile, Magnezone, and Regirock. And as you can see, we have Terra on Regirock and Rotom Heat. Remember, for this draft league, it is open Terra. You can bring any Terra type you want on the mons that you have to create as Terra captains. So overall, this team, obviously a Sun team, obviously superpower when you have the Sun mode up. I'm curious to see how he looks to use certain mons that aren't benefiting entirely from the Sun, such as Magnezone and Weavile and even Regirock. I want to see how we're going to even use Regirock, right? We do have Terra, but would you want to run that over Rotom? That's the question. Either way, I do think this team is cohesive enough to make stuff happen. I am seeing a core group of mons that will be brought to every game, potentially. Definitely gonna have the Walking Wake and Torkoal at the very least. Like maybe one, I could imagine maybe 1 week where you wouldn't bring Walking Wake. But other than that, just super powerful team because it's Sun. Just wish he was able to get away with some more photosynthesis mons. Maybe we'll see some free agencies made along the draft, along the whole draft season, I guess, towards getting some more photosynthesis, right? Because I think Sandy Shocks went undrafted, even though it's a pretty decent mon. Could have done well on this team. Either way, let's move on to the next. We have Ultra Burst with the Burst cores. One thing for this team is it has a pretty good synergy, right? Everything here doesn't have the highest speed stat, but really benefits from what Sticky Webs does for it. Klefki also really sets up those screens well for all the mons on the team to set up and just pivot around freely. He has drafted a lot of setup. He has drafted a well-balanced, like bulky-ish offensive team. It is not all the members are super bulky, but I mean, I feel like this makes it really easy to pivot around and click stuff with Chiyu, set up Articuno, set up Latios, get the Ditto out if any matchups go wrong. You can play pretty offensively, and we do fix the issue with Hisui and Avalugg and Incineroar by making them Terra Captains, right? You could get out of that terrible typing on Avalugg, run some little bit of setup, be actually able to live a move, and with Incineroar, just avoiding repeating Fire and Dark typing on your team, and you could set up with Incineroar pretty well. You could actually make some pretty heavy hitting Flare Blitzes too if you really want. Next up, we have Soul Blaze, who has chosen a Soul Terra Captain in the form of Hoopa Unbound. It's also worth noting that their team is named the Fairies, and there is no fairy. Either way, Terra Captain Hoopa Bound would have me pooping my pants. I would not want to team build against that. That is actually nearly impossible. I'm kind of wondering why I even allowed that to happen. Next, we have Surely You Jest with the Pacific Log PQ Mukus. Terra Captains are Slitherwing and Typhlosion Hisui, which is really good. You could get those Terrafire eruptions off, and Slitherwing can Terra out of that terrible typing. Other than that, this team looks really nice altogether, right? Enamorous can click, Garchomp can click moves that it wants to. You have Court Change for those hazard stacking teams. Galarian Slowking is a really good pivot. I just think we don't have the best of pivots outside of Galarian Slowking. I'm a Mandibuzz hater. I will stay a Mandibuzz hater, but that Sinistra is a sleeping demon. It could just take the game away if you're not wary. Next up, we have the Gatineau Gallades. Who would have thought Ty was going to Terra Captain the Gallade? And then we also have Indeedee F being Terra Captain. So both these mons are Terra Captains. Gallade will probably take away the Terra Captain role most of the weeks. I can't knock this team because he has chosen his favorites and what he's familiar with. And honestly, even if I wanted to knock the team, this is a pretty powerful team. There's two forms of speed control. He is playing it sort of like VGC, but it's good. This team is good. Gallade will do some powerful stuff. Iron Moth. I'm really happy he chose Iron Moth because this team was sort of missing that little it factor that could help it get through some stuff. And Iron Moth does have that colorful moveset. So honestly, really well chosen. And don't forget that Ursaluna Blood Moon. That thing can destroy mons that Gallade would honestly struggle with. We have Estrella with the Mystic Hat Society. One of their mons have been taken off of the team in the form of low kicks to replace it with Hitmontop and Bisharp. and Hitmontop and Kilowattrel have been decided as Terra captains. You've probably seen countless other draft leagues where Kilowattrel is a Terra captain and it just runs through everything. This will probably happen again. Hitmontop provides this team a lot of support with Intimidate and a fighting type that it didn't have. Honestly, the Bisharp's okay because it gives the knockoff, and it's what you needed with the points that were left. Hitmontop also gives some decent removal for the team. I think this team has a pretty high potential to do really well in this draft because the rain is just too strong, man. The rain is going to be so powerful. Imagine those Terra flying hurricanes just clearing through everything. Or like that sleeping demon that's the first pick, Palafin. Palafin wave crash into anything is going to KO unless it has water absorb. Like this team is scary. Oh my god, I just remembered Electroshot or Chalodon. You have Swift Swim, Dragon Dance, Kingdra if you really want. You have Ludicolo. Everything is a threat. Everything is a threat except for that Slowbro in the corner looking at me stupid. Either way, Slowbros are, this is a good defensive mon, so I can't knock it too much. Leppy's team, Trick Room Connoisseur. We have decided to go for Terra to make Terra captains out of Titan, which I think is a really good call. Gastrodon and Jumpluff. So all these mons, pretty good Terra captains, but the best one is obviously going to be Titan. The way it can take over the games and it could get out of that ice typing. Under the Trick Room, that thing's going to be a freak. It's going to belly drum. It's going to make stuff happen. Just like having two ways to get Trick Room is so good for the team as well. And just having that Aurora Veil, like it's going to be so hard to kill that Titan. Terra, Aurora Veil, belly drum. Oh my god. Don't even forget about the Iron Hands or the Terapagos. Like there's a lot of setup here and there's a lot of Trick Room like stuff that could go on. Then we have the Philosopher, Porygon 3.14. Really good team, right? Really good hazard stacking. And the Glamora and the Palisand are their Terra captains. So thank God that Palisand is going to be given, like a proper type that isn't just repeating ground on the team and Ghost. So we're actually going to see Palisand probably come a few weeks. Maybe not as often as Glamora though, because Glamora with Terra can actually just tear through stuff. No pun intended. Either way though, this team will be annoying to play against because you will not be getting rid of these hazards. The Cecil's Edge is going to play some spikes, okay? Just accept it. Then we have Mackerel with the McMackerels. This team has opted for Terra captains out of Noivern and Arboliva, which is insane. These are two very good Terra captains to have. Arboliva obviously being able to click Terra Blast at any point in the game, and also just being an overall versatile mon. And then Noivern getting those Terra normal choice specs Boombursts off, which it probably will be able to. But don't forget about the threat of Dire Claw. Dire Claw can just come out, and with the terrain, it's gonna have Unburdened Dire Claws. It could do whatever it wants. Like, and there's Darkrai too. Like this team is really good together. This team is really good. It's decently it's on the more offensive side, but it still has bulky mons. The only thing that it might not have going for it are the pivots for it. The pivots aren't as like, I see like two main bulky pivots, right? But DNC might struggle a bit because it doesn't have Terra. Chandelure might be hard to bring out some weeks. We'll see though. I want to see what Mackerel does with this team. I'm excited to see the cook. Now we have Wishmaker's team, where they have opted for Terra captaincy on Sylveon and Decidueye. Thank God, because I wasn't a fan of what Decidueye was going to provide to the team, but as a Terra captain, it could do a bit more. Same with Sylveon. It can be used a lot more defensively. It could protect itself from some bad matchups. It could set up pretty well with it. Same thing for Decidueye. Decidueye can set up pretty well. Overall, this team, I'm guessing the goal is, to get some chip with all the various mons for whatever's gonna set up to like just take the game away, right? You have that Galarian Moltres that could take the game away. You have that Decidueye that could take the game away. Regieleki can just, Volt Switch throughout the game, honestly. There are a lot of ways to clear ground types. I did notice that, so maybe that's what the goal was, right? Get the Regieleki able to click Volt Switch. Next up, we have FFella, who has their Terra Captains as Calyrex and Venonat, and a third Mon, because they dropped a Mesprit for Rhyperior as a Terra Captain. This is actually really good. Gives them pretty good rock coverage that they were missing, because rock coverage is just so good. And with Terra, you could get out of that terrible typing that Rhyperior struggles with. You could run some weakness policy sets. You could run some rock polish sets. This Mon can be a threat. Terra Captain on Calyrex and Venonat are probably just because they had enough points left over and nothing else could Terra. This team is still pretty terrifying. No pun intended again. Just really strong front-loaded Mons that are pretty hard to team build against, right? And they could hazard tag pretty easily. And so many wall breakers, actually. Like, I want to see how FFL goes around and, pivots around positions to get these Mons in to just click their moves. Because if they're able to play that masterfully, skillfully, they could just very easily win their games. Next, we have Gex Team Jetsu Holiday, which has crazy hitters in the front 8. We've opted for Terra Captaincy on Gliscor, Pikachu, and Golem. Gliscor, obviously, super good Mon, super good on ladder with Terra, Fairy, and Water. And the Terra is just going to be allowing it to get away with so much, right? If it's in front of a water type, you could just Terra out of that type. You have the Poison Heal still, no matter what. Just hope he doesn't Terra Poison or Terra Steel before Toxic Orb activates. He could set up with Swords Dance, get some Terra Normal Facades off. That would be really OP. Terra out of that terrible typing that Golem Alola has. Pikachu just whatever, like the extra points were there, and it's decent to Terra Captain it, I guess. Just really powerful team. I can't wait to see a Quavo sweep. I can't wait to see how he plays the Kyurem each week. This team's really important. It's really important for this team to play around the pivoting that it can do, and the Deoxys defense just makes it super easy. It has screens, it has hazards, like really nicely drafted team. Kudos to whoever drafted this. Next up, we have Forgery's team, Hamilton Tri-Attacks. One of our players to draft 12 Mons. He opted for Terra Captaincy on Meloetta and Articuno. Really good Mons to Terra Captain. I mentioned before that it would be really good if he was able to Terra Captain them. He still has the Sand Mode for Tyranitar. He still has Sticky Webs. He could set up with these 2 Terra Captains. He has Tidy Up if hazards get out of control or he's in that Goldengo matchup. And don't forget that Giraffe over there, Raging Bolt. Like, that's going to be so good. He has one of my favorite pivots in the game in the form of Tornti, and his Alabamola. I kind of hate him for having Alabamola, but it's whatever. Like, every Mon on his team is good. They don't look as scary, but they're good, trust me. Yeah, all around, like, this is a very well-rounded team. Kudos to him. Next up, we have Con Baby with their Terra Captains as Toxtricity and Scrafty. It's actually really good to give Toxtricity and Scrafty Terra Captains, because Toxtricity obviously can do that Terra Normal Boom Burst set that even Noivern could do. Scrafty can also Terra out of that type that it's repeating across the board. This team is really nice. I just don't know how they're going to decide between bringing Trick Room a week and not for the next week. Although they do have, Great Tusk, so I think Great Tusk makes all things possible, right? And they have the Iron Boulder, like, just a lot of decent Mons. I'm honestly struggling to see the high synergy between them. Actually, I'm seeing it a little bit, but I'm actually excited to watch the games that Quan Baby plays, because I want to see how they play these Pokemon and how they build them. Next up, we have No Area Mies, my friend Mokoko. really nice team, honestly. Deoxys speed just does so much. Really taking away all of your items with the knockoffs that Roaring Moon's gonna drop. Gothitel's annoying to build against. Glaceon's decent with Baton Pass Wishes. We have Reuniclus with Terra Captaincy and Glaceon. They're gonna do pretty decently. Reuniclus could get some pretty big KOs, probably get some big moves. It gets Life Orb, it gets Regenerator. Like, it could also just be a good defensive pivot if you give it a better type. All the members of this team are really strong. I'll say the first 5 are really strong and will probably come a majority of the games. Yeah. Then we have the final man, the one that this draft all started with, Hydreigoons. Terra Captaincy on Bellybolt, Altaria, and Darkspawn. Darkspawn is insane with Open Terra, right? Because you'll still have the well-baked body and you can turn into a steel type. Guess what? Fighting and ground are strong against you, but guess what? It's a bulky defensive mon. So, like, a majority of types, or a majority of ground and fighting moves are are physical attacks. Sorry, I don't know why I'm stumbling, because this is our 2.5. Okay, so we're 2.5 hours into this. Yeah, that's probably why I'm stumbling. Yeah, these are some really good Terra Captains. Bellybolt can play around out of that electric type, which isn't as good to have defensively. Then you have, Darkspawn running around with Terras. Altaria can Terra into something to give it better flying coverage. I guess it does have Brave Bird, actually, so just Terra to make Brave Bird even stronger, or just Terra into better defensive type to set up DDs. Overall, this team really works well together. That Urshifu single strike is just so strong. You could chip down everything with Iron Bundle to make the team, perform well. There's a lot of pivoting, a lot of resistances in the form of Water Absorb, well-baked body, just the steel typing, the ghost typing, like everything's insane on this team, and that Ogerpon could do stuff, man. And that's the draft. It's fully complete. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for what we get to see next. If you want to keep up with everything going on regarding this Bulbasaur Draft League, please comment who you think is gonna win. I want to stay unbiased, so I'm not gonna say who I think is gonna win, but also subscribe too, so that you could hit that bronze song, and that way you'll be up to date with all the draft videos that come out. Oh, I'm so excited for what this league is gonna do for us. Either way, I think I'm gonna rest for a little bit. It's been 2.5 hours. Please do not watch this all in one setting. If you want to watch it, watch it throughout your days, throughout the next few days, maybe. Just go about it normally. All right. Peace out.